Super, super strenuous hike because volcanoes in general, so you're constantly walking up. And once you get to like almost the top, then you see another volcano, which is called Fuego, which means fire in Spanish. So this is an active volcano, right? So this is a volcano that erupts almost every 20-25 minutes. So during the day, you only see smoke coming out.
Okay.
As soon as the sun sets, that's when you start seeing the lava. It actually erupts and then just like float on. Yeah. So the first time you see something like that, I don't think anything that I've seen comes to me.
How was partying with drug lords, man?
It was good. It was good. I love the Latin American partying culture. It's very imbibed into them. The tourists are just joining them.
Okay.
Even their dancing or like their music is very upbeat. You can either do salsa or you can do reggaeton. Do all kinds of like Spanish music.
Wow.
And both of them are like very intimate. Then you can always ask someone to dance with you. It's very good.
So how much of dancing did you do?
So much.
So much? Oh my, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So in Mexico, I took my first salsa class. I did take multiple salsa classes over the course of the time, and I've been told that I'm not bad. And
and do they just break out into music and dance in the middle of the road and all that?
Oh yes.
Wo sab hota hai?
Yeah, they do.
Man,
they do.
movies are
Yeah,
depicting all these things correctly. Then I would say, I mean, this is the things that you see, right?
And so I saw like multiple instances where there'd be like a band playing or like music on a loudspeaker. People break out into dance. It was a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
So every episode I record, I always unlock a new level of, oh man, I really want to do this or I really want to go there kind of feeling. Sometimes it's about the specific location we're talking about. Sometimes it's a mode of travel, like I want to do an RV trip, like how one of our guests explored Alaska. Sometimes it's the manner in which a place is explored, like, running a marathon in an unknown country or riding a cycle and going and exploring a different city or a state. Sometimes it's about being crazy adventurous, like, scuba diving somewhere or summiting a peak. My list is long and it's just getting longer and longer with every guest that I meet on this podcast. Today is another kind of, oh my God, I really want to do this kind of episode and kind of guest. Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Revati, and welcome to Misadventures of a Sneaker podcast, a happy podcast where we talk about lots of travel stories with an idea of exploring the entire world over and over again through so many different lenses. In our episode today, we have the super fun Phalgun Guduthur. Some of you will know him already from his travel stories, several of which have gone viral on Twitter. Well, as a matter of fact, I've met him on Twitter as well, and I can definitely understand why his stories are loved by so many. They are bloody brilliant. So Phalgun has gone on long-term travel so many times, from multiple sabbaticals he's taken to workations that he has done, to travel with family, then travel with the many friend circles that he's had. Lots and lots of ghumna. In our episode today, Phalgun talks about a 6-month sabbatical that he took earlier this year, where he explored a lot of South America and some parts of California, Hong Kong, Dubai, kind of around the world kind of trip that he went on. 6-month sabbatical meant slow kind of travel style across so many different cities in the South American countries, partying with drug lords and then trekking with alpacas, dancing with strangers and lots of friends in the process. His stories are sometimes deep and contemplative, sometimes mega adventurous, sometimes very endearing, but fun and full of masti all through. I'm excited to introduce you all to Phalgun, but before that, let's take a quick break. Hey, do you know, we write a travel-themed newsletter every fortnight? Yep, and in each newsletter, we write about different destinations and travel experiences from around the world. In fact, you will get lots of deets about this episode in our upcoming newsletter. Head over to misadventuresofasneaker.substack.com. That's misadventuresofasneaker.substack.com. You will find the link in our show notes as well. And by the way, if you enjoy listening to our podcast, you could support our team by buying us a coffee. Head on over to our show notes and click on support to contribute any amount you'd like. It will be a huge morale booster for us. Thank you. Wow. So, hey, Phalgun, hi. Oh my God, your background where you're sitting looks so fab.
So what do I see in your background? So I see the gorgeous fiddly fig plant. What are the other things that I see? There are a lot of, I see, are these coasters or are these magnets?
Yeah, actually, they are coasters. So I have like a habit of collecting coasters from the places that I go
Me
to. So it's
too.
like, oh, nice, okay. So I'm like a big beer person, so I always like end up going to like bars to try different
Me
beers.
too.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, what are your souvenirs like? Well, also for our listeners, Falgun has this very good looking wall behind him as he's talking to me here with lots of beer coasters on it and all that. I'm referring to that here. It's fabulous.
Thanks. Honestly, I'm not a fan of magnets, so I don't usually pick it up. Um, there was a phase when I was not buying anything because I was very scared of like, getting ripped off. So now, like on that side, you see those plates? These are all like number plates.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so I've started picking up like number plates from like cities that I really like. So there's one outside my main door as well. It's actually an Indian number plate with my name on it. It's
Where did you get it made? So I
uh,
can understand the Brooklyn one is
mhm.
Brooklyn. This
Yeah,
one GT5 something. Where is that from?
that's Guatemala. I got like the top and the bottom one like in this trip, like the other two are like from previous trips.
Nice. Oh,
So
this is a good one,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah. So I'm
This
trying
is
to
a good
like,
one.
so there's another one from Bali as well. I got it custom made, but so I kind of found like a number plate shop and like made it custom made it.
And you must send me a picture of this collection that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
all
yeah,
your
it's been nice.
posters are from everywhere else that you have gone
Yeah,
to.
everywhere. Like lot from Bangalore as well. Now I have
Okay.
a lot more that I've got on this trip. I need to put them back on. But off late, what my favorite find of souvenirs have
Hmm?
been just like buying stuff that I need on the trip and just like bringing them back home. It could be like usually something like a jacket or like a pair of footwear, stuff like that, which I'd also want on the trip. So it helps me like kind of bring it back and also like continue using it. And whenever the next time I take it out, I remember that okay, this is where it's from. So that's yeah,
That's
I
your
actually
style
find
of
those to be a lot more
souvenirs.
useful. Yeah, exactly. And I don't buy souvenirs. I
Good
usually,
thing,
I'm
man.
like a very light packer. Yeah. So I hardly bring anything. It's only in the last stop it ends up being chocolates or something and like alcohol, but like nothing else. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so Falgun, I have to welcome you to my podcast.
Thanks.
And we call ourselves Misadventures of a Sneaker because we know that when we travel, we have a lot of adventures and a lot of misadventures. And often these misadventures are something that will get etched in our mind more than the actual adventure part of it.
Thank you. I'm excited. This is my first ever podcast. So I'm like so both excited and nervous. So yeah.
Throw the nervousness out. Yeah, sab
So
mast ho jayega.
hopefully. Yeah.
So, for our listeners, Falgun and I, we have not met in person yet. And Falgun is someone whom I met on Twitter because Falgun's several tweets went crazy viral over the last few months. And why is that? Is because Falgun decided to go on a sabbatical. Now, usually what people do in sabbaticals is its majority would be to a Euro trip. But Falcon had done that already because he's done this multiple times before. So his tweets were so entertaining and so informative and so fun.
And you know what really clicked with me most is his style of travel. It's not like give me adventure all the time or let me just party all the way kinds. It's a lovely balance through all of it.
So I kind of understand why your tweets went viral. बहुत मजा आया पढ़ के. I had a great time reading them myself. And I just pinged Falgun saying, hey, Falgun, we are doing a travel podcast. I just enjoy your traveling style. Would you like to come on my podcast and be a guest?
And voila, here we are.
Thank you for having me, Revita. Honestly, it's been fun talking to you even before this. So yeah, it's nice.
Same. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the first, which is like the very most regular question. What is your oldest travel memory? Invariably, it's usually something that we have done summer vacations with family and things like that. What might it be?
I think I've been when looking back, I've actually done like a lot of travel as a kid, even though my parents don't really call themselves, oh, we're big on travel, or like this is how we like to spend our vacations. But they did take me and my brother, like I have an older brother, so they did take us a lot on out on summer vacations. One of the earliest memories that I have is my parents would take us on these organized travel a lot, like like these group travels
Yes, yes,
where you're
yes.
going in like a bus with like a bunch of people, etc. One of the earliest ones was my dad's a CA, so
Okay.
he every summer they have this thing where they have to go work at a bank, like they get these special projects. They have to go audit a bank or something like that. So he'd get to do things like that in Goa or like nicer places. So one of the
Wow.
vacations, yeah, he actually took us, me, my mom, my brother, and I think I was 8. And we did like a trail of like North Karnataka into Goa, like Karwar, and into Goa, all the places there. So it was actually very interesting because that was like the first time I think I had like a very unplanned trip. I was super young watching like the beach for the first time. I remember Goa. We had like a taxi, like a Kali PD taxi, and one of the beaches I was so tired. I told my parents that I'm sleepy, so I just slept in the taxi with the driver, and like they all went to the beach. And so yeah, it's funny, like. And recently, my parents were even telling me, like, I was talking to them about my travel, and I was telling them how this whole uncertainty around not planning the trip is why I actually do this. And they were like, "Oh, we can never do that." And we remember once we did it when you were young, and apparently this trip was completely, unplanned, and we were going from one city to another, without any stays booked and all of that. And it kind of came back to me, and it was right. Like we were actually stranded at a bus stand like late in the night and all of that. And I think it would have been like a very stressful situation for my dad, considering that he has 2 small kids and
Yeah.
a family basically. And I think he was pretty fine on. Yeah, and I was telling my parents, honestly, you know what? I remember that incident. That's like a more memorable incident for me than like say anything else. So it's not such a bad thing. So yeah, that's like my earliest.
Nice.
Yeah.
There is something called DNA.
Yeah.
You've got the genes.
So interestingly, my parents also got married. So they're from 2 different states. It was an
Mm-hmm.
arranged marriage. They got
Mm-hmm.
married because of travel.
Oh my God. So it's like in the genes and in the stars and everything for you.
Yeah.
So there is something, कुछ तो है. It's, I mean, if your parents
Exactly.
tell something ना कि बहुत घूम रहे हो, थोड़ा
Huh.
chill करो, tell it's because of you. It's not me. You are the ones who are
Exactly. Yeah.
pushing me toward it. But that's really nice. That's really nice. I mean, and those days, I'm getting stranded. Now you throw a stone, there'll be one hotel room, right? It wasn't at all
Exactly.
the case there. Plus, no
Yeah.
internet. We can just go
Mm,
and see nearest hotel
exactly.
nearby, hostel nearby,
Mm,
whatever. So many
right.
different options.
Right.
Not the case then. So
Correct.
it's
Exactly.
extra cool of your parents to have been so cool at that time and done such an unplanned trip. Because I don't remember growing up having any unplanned trip. But unplanned, that's so, I mean, it sounds very cool. It
Yeah.
must have been stressful, but it sounds very cool.
Probably. Probably.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the northern part of Karnataka is still, I mean, the coastal and the northern part is still very gorgeous. I mean, it must have been crazy good some 30 years back or 25, 30 years back.
Oh, yeah.
But now
Yeah.
also it's
Like,
amazing. We've driven around that whole Karwar and
nice.
Gokarna and
Gokana.
all
Exactly.
that entire stretch,
Murdeshwara.
Murdeshwar and all. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's just, and the roads are really good even now. So
Oh,
we took
really?
this trip, I
Okay.
think, sometime early last year.
Uh-huh.
The roads were phenomenal. So we were thrilled with the whole driving trip. We should do it sometime as well. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Most of me and my friends and many people that we know in India, I would say, who travel, do not really know what is a slow paced travel or what is a sabbatical travel, or any of these things. Either explore a place slowly or explore a place for a really long period of time. From what I have read in your blogs as well,
You almost started off traveling itself in a slow paced style, no?
how
Yeah.
did travel excite you and you got off in that, style itself?
It's actually, I don't know, like even now I'm thinking about it. I think it was just about like being exposed to people who had done things like this. One of my earliest bosses, this was like a startup that I have worked the longest at. Like my boss there, like he was the founder. He had actually traveled very interestingly to South America for 6 months. And he started the company when he was, traveling and like he was building the company. So I always had like people like him around me who had done like these long form travels, and so time is always relative, right? Like sometimes if you see someone
Mm.
doing 1 month versus like say, and it's so for me it was always I had people like this around me, so it didn't feel long, and also it was a question of if I'm going to Europe and it's that far. I did 5 weeks, and this was like in 2015. It's a whole different story on like how I embarked on it. But like, yeah, it was 5 weeks, and it was like the first time I was traveling like to a first world country. At that point of time, I felt like I don't think I can go back there again. So let me do everything possible and then come back. So I was so wrong. I was so wrong. Like now I'm of the firm belief that there's no place that you'd only visit once. Like if you like it, you can still keep going back.
Yes, absolutely. And the way you will explore the second time will be very different from how you did it the first time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and you'll see so much more.
Yeah.
I even, through the podcast also we say that, I mean, even if we are talking about the same place a second time, stories can be 100% different between the two persons, so it's really awesome if you can go back to the place a second time. Have you ever been to any one of these vacation locations a second time?
Oh yeah, multiple times actually. Nepal was twice. I've been to Bali 3 times. Vietnam twice. Thailand was 2 times, yeah. And like there are actually Mexico was twice as well. So it's like multiple times. Yeah, there are multiple countries that I've done twice.
And you have noticed your style of travel being different each time you've traveled the following time? Yeah.
Purely function of like time, in the sense like me aging and like me like growing as a person. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. No, definitely travel styles change as I won't say age. I don't like getting old, but as we get wiser, maybe wiser.
True.
So you said that you do a lot of unplanned, unstructured kind of travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll talk of one of my longish kind of travel. So the way I controlled my costs was that I booked all my transport in advance, like well in advance, so that I get cheaper tickets and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly with the ACO as well. So I booked everything in advance so that I get all that at a good deal. But that makes a vacation extremely planned, because if you're booking a train which leaves station at 7 p.m., you can't just chill. Oh, I want to go to a bar instead. I don't want to go on the train. You can't do things like that. So that's how. So that was. But I took that call between being structured versus my costs that I had to control. What did you do? I mean, a sabbatical is a long period of time. How do you start about this whole thing?
So I used to be like a planner in like my earliest trips. Like when I did my Euro trip, I had like the schedule for like the first 5 days written down in a book. Honestly, my friend who was staying in Paris kind of helped me with it, but still like I had like the entire schedule laid out. So there has been a massive transition even for me from going to be knowing exactly when I'll be in a place, when I'll be leaving, to just like booking tickets and just like maybe 2 days of stay is all I book and nothing else. Just so that I know from the airport or the bus station which direction I need to go. So that's the only thing that I book right now. And honestly, it's been a function of confidence, because all you need is a phone and mobile data, and you can.
That's right. That's true.
Right. So I just have I was packed enough. You could throw me in any part of the world. I had enough clothes to survive the weather. So with this one, I didn't really, like I said, I didn't really plan much. The biggest decision that I had to make was that, hey, should I go on this trip or not? My first decision was like taking the sabbatical, and the second one was like, okay, should I do this South America trip or not? So then I decided that, okay, yeah, now is like the best time to do it. I don't know if I'll ever get to do it. So once I decided, I just had like a mental idea of, okay, these are the countries. I also wanted to go to Costa Rica and stuff like that. And then what I did was I just looked for tickets. I knew that I had to fly to the US for it to be the cheapest.
Yeah.
So I just looked for flights to the US. I got one a couple of months later. I still remember it. I found the flights on the last week of December 2023. And Jan 1st is when I booked my tickets for Feb 12th.
Oh.
So
that's not too much in advance either.
Yeah. It was not too much in advance either. So I had about 5 weeks, 5.5 weeks. And then I was like, yes, chop. Now I have to like say my goodbyes. I'll have to start getting ready to leave. I think it was because I would just keep postponing it otherwise. If I don't book these things, I'll just like keep delaying it and be like, yeah, there's time. Let me like look at the weather and go and all of that. So I just had to push myself to do it. So I just booked it. And to be honest, like I tried researching and started planning. It was very overwhelming because there's so many countries, there's so much time. I did not have an end date. I wasn't sure when I'm going to come back. So it was really overwhelming. So I just gave up and said that, okay, I'll only look at information on the first country that I'm going to, which was going to be Hong Kong. And that's it. After Hong Kong, I will figure it out, right? Like one day before going into the country, I'll start researching probably, is what I told myself. That gave me like a lot of mental peace. And because I was already on my sabbatical, I didn't really want to stress myself out. That was like the biggest thing.
Oh, that's the main point, right?
So,
yeah,
exactly. Like I need to be on a break. I can't be stressed out or like,
wow. No
so
internal flights either?
No. So yes, you are right. It is probably cheaper if you like plan everything out and all of that. But honestly, it's not that different. It's probably maybe 20-30% more. Yes. But the flexibility and the freedom that you get is worth a lot more for you. It's worth a lot more. Just being able to, you met someone nice and you want to continue like traveling with them, or you heard about some place nice and you want to go there. Like that adaptability to just change
just
plans.
like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's honestly what I prioritize. And moreover, my travel has always been budget, so I wasn't too worried that I'm going to be like splurging. And flights where I was going to another country were the ones that I would plan a little earlier, but that was when I knew that okay, these are like how many more days I would want to spend in a country, and I'm ready to leave. So like it's on. I don't know if anyone's done this math, but it's actually not that crazily different, even if you like book it the day before. Especially buses and trains, it's the same price. It's only the flights which make a difference. And even with the flights, if you're not checking in your luggage, it's pretty much the same. I feel like it's not a big difference.
And you did not check in your luggage?
No, I sadly did. I did. I wish I did.
Don't give me a heart attack. I'm like, you're traveling for so many months and not checking in. That's like crazy good.
No, you know what? I wish I was traveling with just like a carry-on, because if the flights would have been like at least 40% cheaper, I would have had a lot more flexibility. But yeah, it's okay. I was carrying some stuff that I really wanted to, and like so that's why I wanted to check stuff in. And I had a bigger bag this time, so yeah.
But you think you can travel lighter, like for such a longer period of time with just carry on in your style of travel? You can?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah.
I mean, you at least have to carry 2 shoes, right? And these shoes are like massive shoes.
So
you wear one, you carry one.
So that was my biggest dilemma before leaving. That was like the only thing that I kept researching on. What is the optimum number of footwear to carry, and what kinds, right? Oh man, like that was such a trouble. So what I ended up doing was I only carried my hiking boots, which I'd wear when I'm like flying. So like I could save space. So which meant that I did not have nice shoes. So if I went to a good place, like a nice fancy place, I looked very out of place with my hiking boots. But
hey, you look like a traveler.
Hey, but like when you're a backpacker, exactly. Yeah. So it's really funny. As soon as they see that you're a foreigner, all rules are off the table. Like all etiquette rules are off the table.
Walks in your favor. It's okay.
Yeah, they'll just like let you in. They don't even care. So yeah.
And many of these countries have a few of these budget kind of stores where you can actually go and like once you're there, you can just pick up something. I don't know whether they have rental kind of places. Like India has so many rental kind of places. If you're going to some place really cold, you can rent a jacket, or you can rent even like the snow boots or something. But these also really, really help if you want to travel light. Tell me your packing style, yeah?
So yeah, I carry a big backpack. So until last year, I only carried a 40-liter backpack along with like a day pack, which is around 20 liters. So the interesting thing is this 40-liter backpack has gone with me to like so many places on hikes and like even Europe, 5 weeks in Europe. I had 3 pairs of clothes and I looked so homeless in such nice places. It's like when I look back at it, I'm like, oh wow, how did I even like do this?
Wow, so 3 pairs of clothes is so cool. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Did that increase to 5 pairs this time?
Definitely. So what I did was I knew that I can't carry everything. All I have to do is think about the different kinds of weather I'll be exposed to, and make sure I have a piece of clothing for all of my body for the different kinds of weather, like for rain, winter, sun, and like, everything.
Yeah.
And I just carried those. And this time, what I did was I carried stuff that I was okay with discarding. So
Okay.
on the trip, I just kept, giving away some clothes and buying new ones. So that also became souvenirs at the end of the trip, so that I don't look, like I'm wearing the same t-shirt throughout my
Homeless.
entire trip. Yeah, or homeless, and like even in my pictures, right? I'm gonna look like the same.
Yeah, that's a
So
big that's my stressful point. Problem is when I go traveling somewhere, which is like a coldish kind of place, I just have like maximum 2 pairs of jackets. So even if I'm wearing 20 pairs
wow.
of different clothes every day, I'm just wearing the
Yeah.
same jacket. So all my clothes have either a dark blue jacket or a light blue jacket. That's it.
Yeah, that's
Oh
true.
God.
That's true.
What to do?
That
How
happens so
many
much on
jackets?
treks, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Like
man.
long 7-day hikes in the Himalayas and all, like all you have is like your one jacket you
Yeah.
have. So yeah, like that's all I packed. I had a pair of sandals. So this time I started taking Birkenstock because I kind of want to fit in with the whole backpacker crowd, and flip
I
flops.
like it.
Yeah, like that was massive peer pressure. Everyone just wears Birkenstock.
Yeah.
So
It is. I get it. Yeah.
so, and then like hiking boots, that's about it. So I was still overpacked, honestly. I wanted to carry some Indian spices so that I can cook my food whenever I was missing food. I did not have space, so I couldn't carry it. And I'm also like a very last minute packer. My flight was probably at like some 1 a.m. and at 7 p.m. I'm starting to pack. So it's like super, super last minute. And I did not carry my spices, which again was my mistake that I repeated again from like one of my previous trips. It was mostly that that I tried to do.
So
Yeah.
did you carry any special things from India? You said you didn't carry any spices. Anything else?
No, honestly, I wish I did. I carried some ready-to-eat food. I spent a year, like a month in Morocco last year, and I carried some ready-to-eat food, and I didn't use any of it. I just gave it away to people who said, things like, "Oh, I love Indian food" and all of that. That was the best, thing that I probably could have done, because the way their eyes lit up and like how happy they were
Ooh.
was so beautiful, honestly. Yeah. So just to give it to people who, don't really get to eat Indian food, but they're like, there were people who tell me that I always watch YouTube videos of Indian recipes and all
Yeah.
of that. Yeah. So being able to give it to them was honestly very,
It's a
very
great
good.
idea, by the way.
Yeah.
We should do something like this. So
Yeah.
I recently recorded a podcast with this lady who did a longish term travel to Spain. So she stayed with a local family there. She'd gone to Spain to improve on her Spanish. So she found some contacts and she found someone in a small little village in Spain. Went and lived there with them for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And in turn, what they wanted from her, they were turning vegan. So they wanted her to teach them vegetarian and vegan cooking.
Nice.
She carried 12 kgs of spices from India and went, because that was her assignment, almost like.
Wow.
Because she was going there to learn Spanish, in turn teach them cooking. So she took 12 kgs of spices and tamarind and things like that. She organized a beach pani puri party over there for the village there. So fun, right? So she said that often when she travels, she carries these scarves, very Indian looking scarves. She says, I carry lots of them. And, when I'm traveling, when I happen to meet people who, have done something nice to me that day, or,
exactly. Yeah.
I give it away to them. And the way their eyes, it really lights up when I do something like that. I'm reminded of how you mentioned the whole story about it's such a small packet, right? You can always keep doing that. So it's such a great idea. I think that's something I'm going to start doing, one of these things, to always carry something and go.
Now, let's start off with your sabbatical.
So in my, 15, 20 years of working, I think I have met all of 2 Indians who have taken sabbaticals.
Wow.
I know a lot of American friends who are probably either Indian Americans or American Americans or even Europeans who have taken sabbaticals. Somehow, I do not know why it is, but I just know of 2 Indians, like Indians working in India, who have taken sabbaticals. Because it's perceived that you are putting career at a, backstage. So tell me about your sabbatical. How do you plan to take it? And this is not your first sabbatical.
This is my third.
Third sabbatical. And you're like 15 years or so into working like corporate life or so, right?
Yeah, 12 so
12.
far, yeah.
So good job. I'm proud of you. Please push out some of your gyan to my listeners. I know everyone wants to take one, but there's some fear of I don't know what. So please tell us, why is a sabbatical important? How do you do it? Financially, how do you manage it? Career-wise, how do you manage it? All of it.
Sure, yeah. Like it's actually very surprising that you haven't met a lot. Like I think
two. Answer is two.
Yeah, that's very surprising. But yeah, like I think again goes back to like kind of having people like this around you is when I started. Like one of my first bosses, he took like a 6-month sabbatical to like go start a company, and when you had people like that, it kind of feels normal, or it's not unnatural to kind of do it. But more importantly, I think it all started when I did my Euro trip. That was when I was meeting people from all over the world, and and how they were traveling, right? They were traveling for longer durations, etc. So that's what sparked the idea in me, and I kind of liked the idea of like traveling longer and traveling without like an end date. So right after I did my Euro trip in 2015, and 2016 was when I took my first sabbatical. So the reasons why I take a sabbatical is purely to see what life is when you have like the entire day for yourself. Like how do you actually spend that time? Do you spend it on yourself? Do you spend it on like doing something productive? And just kind of asking yourself, hey, what do you want to do right now today, and being able to do that. I feel like that's like very, very liberating. It's because you feel like you're in control, at least for like a short amount of time.
It's very true, because when you are working in a corporate life, you already know what you're going to do because your project is running. You have a call already scheduled. You have a client who's telling you do this. You have your boss saying something, whatever. Your day is pre-planned. You don't plan it yourself very often. So very good point you said. When I'm thinking about it, it's very deep. Very deep.
Yeah, true. And so obviously it does come from like a place of privilege and a lot of things working out. It's not a privilege that a lot of people have. And I've been fortunate enough for that. So that's one of the reasons I've been able to do this. So in terms of like how I manage this financially, I have been very, very financially disciplined since like a few years now. I know like exactly how much I spend, but it was very easy for me to tell, okay, if I'm going to take 6 months off, how much money do I need for like, say, basic living expenses? Now, if I want to add the component of travel, I know that certain regions of the world cost like X number of dollars, like say South America is $50 per day, or like Europe is probably $80-$90 a day. Southeast Asia is $40. So I just like add it onto it and then start saving. So I first save the money and then take my sabbatical. So these are not like I wake up one day and decide, okay, tomorrow onwards, I'm going to be like, I'm going to quit my job. But it's more like it took me 6 months of planning.
YOLO, let's do it.
Yeah. No, it took me 6 months of saving money and then being able to do this. But more importantly, I think I do want to like be taking breaks every 4 or 5 years. After my first sabbatical, that's what I told myself, that, hey, there's no reason to constantly keep working. There is no real disadvantage to taking these breaks. The best time to obviously take one is when you're between jobs. So that you don't have to ask permission. Like my first boss, the one who traveled, he was very kind enough to actually let me do this. He said, okay, go take your break and come back to us again. So that was really nice. Yeah. So because that gave me like a lot of mental, it freed me of anxiety, saying,
correct,
what is my destination next, right? I know I'm going to go back and have a job. It's the most, at peace I've felt in my life, honestly. So that's always helpful. But even if it's not, like, I think, based on your own professional journey, I think people tend to know after they've been working for 10 or 12 years, they tend to know that, okay, if I take a break and come back, will I get a job or not? By then you kind of have figured it out. So yeah, and my last sabbatical was in 2019. And I thought, okay, it's been 4 years. It's probably time to like take one. And it was also for me to kind of, have a reset. I was thinking about what I want to do next in my profession, in my career. And do I want to like start something new? Do I want to like try something new? So I thought, let me take this break or a reset so that I can also think about it. Honestly, I have been seeing like a lot of people who have been taking sabbaticals. I think I'm constantly online on Twitter. That's probably why I see these people. But there have been people that I've been meeting who have been taking sabbaticals. So yeah, I really hope more and more people do it. And the other question on like, does your professional career kind of like take a setback? Honestly, not. No one's really asked me, and it's actually sparked more conversations if I was ever, talking to someone new and like they'll ask, hey, what is this gap in your resume? And I'm like, yes, I'm glad you asked.
Yes, so, it's an icebreaker. It's a FOMO creator. Like everyone wants to be you, and the conversations will be so much more richer that way and work in your favor as well. Yeah, I agree. Phalgun, can we be friends? I need your friend circle, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is very cool, man. It's, I mean, like you're saying, I think it's also the circle that you're going to, because I mean, I'm serious when I'm saying I've met two, and whereas on the other end, you're saying you meet two every other, whatever, maybe week, month or something, that, which is fantastic. I mean, if people are doing this, it's great. Can I ask you a question? When you say that you start saving 6 months in advance for your sabbatical, where do you scrounge on such that you're saving for the sabbatical? And when you're saying saving for a sabbatical, what about life beyond the sabbatical as well? So now you come back from your sabbatical and you, if it's between jobs or you don't have something in hand, it's not always a cushioned life where you have something in hand when you're back. How do you think of those kind of things financially, which can make, some of our listeners plan their sabbatical as well?
Yeah, so I had a travel budget for like, say, 6 months, right?
Okay.
So I didn't just save for 6 months. I had like added a buffer of 3 months as well, thinking that, okay, I'm going to come back to Bangalore and probably it's going to take me 3 or 4 months to like figure out what my next steps are. So I technically am still on my sabbatical right now, like hopefully until the end of the year and stuff. Yeah, so I had like budgeted it for it. And of course, Bangalore is definitely cheaper than any part of like, say, the world. So it's,
of course.
Yeah. So that helps. Now, when it comes to like, how did I pool in this money? Like I said, I have been a little financially disciplined since a few years. I'd always been saving money for the long term. I follow something called as goal-based investing, where I have like a reason for why I want this money and by when do I need it. So I just keep it in a separate jar. And there's one for retirement, one for like, say, travel, one for buying a car, so stuff like that. Very nice. There were some pots which I did not need anymore. So I took some from that. And in the last 6 months from my monthly salary, after investing towards my existing goals like retirement, etc., there was still some which I kept adding to this fund, which I literally called it on my spreadsheet an FU fund. I'm sure you know what that means.
Many of us know what that means.
So for my FU fund, it would just like keep going. And it wasn't like a big number. I'd saved about 12 lakhs for it because I was expecting my sabbatical to be for like 12 months. Okay. And I spent about 10 lakhs sadly for like my trip. And now I'm like, somewhat left over for like the rest of my time.
Very nice, very nice. So no, a number like that will genuinely help, when we are thinking of, if I want to go on a sabbatical to a place like this, how much to budget for it.
But I'm like super budget and like all of that. So like,
no. So I mean, I think if one is going on a longer term stay, I mean, splurging is like, we are not like, Revati Ambani or something like. So I don't think that's possible. Or maybe that is, but whatever, to each their own. So at least, okay, let us say greater than equal to 10.
Exactly.
Greater than equal to 10.
No, I actually met people who had done it at much cheaper. Like I was, so this is something that would come up often when you meet other people who have been traveling for like a long time. On how much are you spending each month? And I met some Europeans who said that they've been doing around 1,000 euros a month, which is around 90,000 rupees. And I was already on top of that. So like, I felt like bad saying, wait, I'm from a poorer country. I need to be more conscious about this. So
tell me something. Do you do couch surfing?
No, I haven't done couch surfing so far. Yeah.
So that's
I
one
did do
thing
like
which will help.
yeah, it does, it does. So another thing that I did knew this trip was I volunteered at
I was going to
volunteer in a
ask you,
hostel.
oh my God, you are
Yeah.
reading my mind, man. Tell me.
So yeah, I volunteered at a trekking company, like a trekking shop. So I was in charge of the gear, and like it was me and like four other volunteers. Because I was the only male volunteer, I got like a room for myself. Then we had like a kitchen. So I kind of wanted to. It had been 2 months of traveling for me by then, so I wanted a break where I stayed in a single place, just like have a routine and
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
So I volunteered at like this trekking company, and I had to work around 3 or 4 hours in a day. So it could range from collecting the trekking gear from the customers who came, and the company organized treks. Obviously, like it was to like the volcano in Guatemala. That's the one which is like the active volcano. So
Ooh, you're going to talk about that.
yeah, yeah.
Excited.
So trekking has like been always been a big part of me, and so I thought it was nice. So as part of the gear collection and doing reception work, yeah, that was mostly like the work. It was about 3 to 4 hours a day, and the rest of the time is for yourself. So they give you free stay, and
Mhm.
all the treks in the company are free for you, and you have a kitchen, you can cook your own food, and it was beautiful. I loved it because it helped me stay in a single place for a long time. Was probably like the only city where I had so many local friends. There was like a tattoo studio right next to our trekking shop, and I would go sit in like the tattoo studio and sit with the guy and like help him out and like just have conversations with him. That was really nice, basically, to have like local friends. I think that really opens up your experience of the city. If you're meeting other backpackers constantly, right? Like you kind of have similar experiences. Even they are visiting the city fresh. So outside of like knowing about them, you don't really get to know more about the city. So
Yeah.
unless you stay in the city, have talk to locals, is when you get like the nuances of like the city or like characteristics of the city, etc. So that was really nice. I tried volunteering. I tried to do it again towards the end of my trip in a hostel where I wanted to be a bartender. I thought it was always going to be like a cool story to say that, hey, I bartended
Right? Yes,
right?
yes,
I know
yes.
that too in Rio de Janeiro of all
Yeah.
places. So
You'll be
that
like the
sounds
hot property Phalgun.
no. So, but sadly, I didn't get it because the dates didn't match. But I ended up staying at the same hostel,
Mhm.
and I was friends with everyone. It was such a fun hostel, and
More than earning from such small time gigs, it's the whole experience of working in a
exactly,
different
yeah,
country and in such a front office kind of
exactly, yeah,
talking in a
yeah,
very
yeah.
corporate lingo, very front office kinds where you're
Mm,
talking to
true,
so many people, locals, travelers, all of them. So it's so
yeah.
fun. I mean, sometimes I feel jealous of some of my friends who have studied abroad, because very often when you study abroad you will work in like a McDonald's or a Subway, or
Exactly, yeah.
one of these things which we studying in India, we don't have that kind of an exposure. Working somewhere like that will, one, it'll instill a lot of financial discipline and
Mm-hmm.
all that in you,
True,
but
yeah,
so many other things, humility and general
exactly,
conversations. How do you talk to strangers like that? Just
true.
open up and start talking and things. So those things are
That's true.
fantastic skill to have.
That's so true. That's so true. Honestly, those were the things, like, those are exactly the things that I realized when I was doing this. Just saying hi, like
Yeah.
retail customer service, right? That's like a very different thing that teaches you a lot. Just saying hi, how are you? And like actually, caring about like a
Yes.
person. So there was one customer, we were handing out gear, and he was like a big guy.
Mm.
He was really tall, and we couldn't find a jacket of his size.
Mm.
So I ended up digging in and like finding jacket for him that actually fit. But unfortunately, the zippers weren't working.
Oh.
So my manager taught me this really neat little trick of using zip ties to fix any zipper.
What a good idea, man.
So yeah, right. So I did it, and this guy was so happy. He actually asked my name, and he said, "Thank you so much." And I wasn't doing it for like 5-star rating, right?
Right,
Like it
right.
was just because I wanted to help, and that felt so good. So yeah, I love doing customer support in my work, etc. Like I love talking to users, but doing it in person was a very different and nice experience. So yeah, I
Hey,
totally
you
agree
did
with
get
what
a
you said.
5-star rating from your hostel, right?
Oh yes, I did. I did.
Who
Yeah.
gets a rating from being a guest in a hostel, man?
No, 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 not a guest. So it was for my volunteering. So it was my manager who
Oh,
rated.
very
Yeah.
cool. And that is a very nice
So
write-up. You should put it up on LinkedIn.
I know I
Those
should
recommendations
probably.
that come.
I know. I
Yeah,
should. I
5-star
should.
nevertheless, right? What fun,
Yes.
man. Wow. So, got any tattoos done?
Oh no, so sadly, no, I
You
can't
were
get
right
tattoos.
there.
I know. So sadly, I can't get tattoos. I have like this skin thing where my scars are permanent, so I can't get tattoos, unfortunately. I've been meaning to get tattoos since like, I don't know, 12 years now. And
Yes.
each time my ideas of what to get as a tattoo also keeps changing. And I felt very underdressed in Latin America, honestly, because I did not have tattoos. Like people have like crazy amount of tattoos.
Wow, I
It
find
felt
them
very weird to
stupendously
not.
hot. I love tattoos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
It was
Just get those, those Goa ink tattoos. Just keep getting them everywhere.
No, I want a real one.
I know. Those put me off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome, man. So tell us now, let's start your whole sabbatical trip. So your sabbatical
mhm.
started off with you, like you said, starting off in Hong Kong, and then you're
Yeah.
going all around the world and then coming back.
Yeah. It was a true round the world trip. Like I
Right?
don't think,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I did not expect it to be one. I wasn't planning it to be one either, but it happened and I thought, oh, a great vanity metric, right? The world trip done. uh, so I started in Hong Kong, then went to California. I was going back to the US after 5 years. All the previous
Mhm.
times I'd gone to the US primarily for work. This time was on my own money and I was meeting all my friends and it was beautiful. Like, and then I basically went from California to like the north of California, like kept making jumps and going and staying in different places. So that was good. And then after that, I went to Mexico. It was mostly like the south of Mexico that I spent most amount of time in. And then I went to Mexico City. That's where I actually met my first boss. And we were exchanging notes, and turns out that we're going to be doing the exact same route. It was very, very funny. It was
What a
um,
coincidence.
exactly, yeah.
Other
So
end of
he,
the world, and you're doing the same, you had the same mental plan.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
So I went to Guatemala. I was supposed to go to Costa Rica. So each time I did not really have like a route in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew what is the next country that I'll be going to.
Okay.
After Guatemala, I was supposed to go to Costa Rica, but in Mexico and even in Guatemala, I heard a lot of people say that Costa Rica is really expensive. Food sometimes restaurants, even regular restaurants, are as expensive as like say a London restaurant. So
Wow.
so after Guatemala, I was supposed to go to Argentina because I
Mhm.
wanted to go to better weather days of Argentina. Rather than going to Argentina in June and July, go in like March so that
Mhm.
I get the better weather. Because it's flipped, right? Argentina is in the southern
Yes.
hemisphere, so June, July is winter for them. Um, so what happened was I realized that I actually did not have like a travel authorization to go to Argentina.
And what is this travel authorization, Falgun?
So it's like if you have a US visa, you can enter all of these countries. You just like
Mhm.
show up there. But only with Argentina, you have to apply for something called as an electronic travel authorization, an
Okay.
ETA.
Okay. ETA things.
Yes. I didn't know until
Mm.
one day before flight is when I thought, okay, let me just look it up. So that's how unprepared I was, right? So
I like it. Mm.
and then I realized I can't. So I was super nervous because it was expensive flights, and now I don't know where to go. I had a layover in Bogota, Colombia. So I thought, wait, what if I just like, take my checked luggage out in Bogota and just like go to Colombia instead? So that's what I did so that I could still like use that flight. And I only like lost the money for the second leg, but still I didn't have to book a new flight.
Not
So
an
that was
entire loss, half loss. Chalega.
exactly half
Mm.
loss. Exactly. Yeah. But very stressful because at the
Mm.
check-in, I was wondering, okay, are they going to ask me for my ETA? Like, because I'm going there.
Yeah.
They didn't do
Yeah.
anything. They didn't do anything.
Very
So
chill, man. I like the
yeah,
country already.
I
Yes.
know.
Yes. Yes. Very chill.
Yes, they love Indians. Okay, the entire region loves Indians. I was exotic. I was very welcomed everywhere. They
How
were very
lovely
curious to
is
know me.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
So,
Good. Good to know
uh,
this.
exactly, yes. People
Mm.
were wanting to talk to me. I got like some, leeways and exceptions just because I was Indian. Yeah,
Language?
it was. Mexico was the hardest for me because that was my first Latin American country and had to start using Spanish. Oh man, like they were not welcoming at all if you only spoken English. Like they would flat out
Wow.
refuse service sometimes. Yeah. So that scared me a lot.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
evidently a foreigner, so they should be okay with you not knowing Spanish, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it also, I think they assumed that I lived in the US or something is why they probably, they tend to have like a little bit
Yeah.
of,
Chip on the shoulder.
yes, especially against Americans. But yeah, so I took up Spanish classes in Mexico. I did a couple of classes,
Good
learned all the
job.
numbers. Yeah, yeah. So towards the end, at the end of my trip, I could have a decent conversation in Spanish. I could book tickets. I could book tickets in a railway station, in a bus station, in a restaurant. I could, when I'm talking to new people, I could at least like say things like, "Hey, can you speak softly because my Spanish is bad." And
Mm-mm-mm.
Spanish and English are very similar. Like just the words at least are similar, so you can make sense out of it.
Okay.
Even if you can't
Okay.
speak, if they are speaking, you can make sense out of it. So it helped. And I think if I'd spent another 4 more months in the region, my Spanish would have been really good. I was Yeah, I was honestly very sad leaving it. My last country was Brazil, and I was so sad leaving because I realized that I can't speak Spanish anymore. Your entire world is Spanish. Everything is Spanish, right? Like the music is Spanish, the movies are Spanish, the signs are in Spanish, like everything is Spanish. So it feels like a different world, and
Yeah.
I felt really sad to be like leaving it. But interestingly, my Spanish got even better in Brazil because people there speak Portuguese. I didn't want to learn a new language, especially when I'm in like the process of learning another one. So I kept continuing to speak in Spanish. They also tried to speak in Spanish. So finally, I met people who would speak Spanish slowly with me. Like say shopkeepers. So
That's
my
like a
Spanish got
proper
better.
training for you.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it helped. It
Very
helped a
cool.
lot. Yeah. So yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
So starting off with Mexico, then Mexico
Mhm.
City, then what was a third? Guatemala.
Guatemala. Yes.
Then
Guatemala. Guatemala. Then Colombia.
mm,
And then Peru. And then from Peru, I went to Brazil. From there, I went very close to the border of Argentina. And I literally saw a bus to Buenos Aires there.
mm,
So I thought, wait, should I just go to Buenos Aires like for a few days? Because I already paid for a very expensive ETA. Like it was $200.
right.
Very, very,
Wow.
very expensive. Yeah. And I decided not to go to Argentina because it was already cold. Peru had already become cold and I
Ah,
wanted
okay.
warmer weather. So I thought, okay, maybe I should go to Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires was one of the key reasons I wanted to go to Argentina. I had heard a lot of amazing things about it. And it was a 16-hour bus from the border of Brazil to Buenos Aires. So the next day I decided just to go to Buenos Aires. And it was pretty incredible. Like the bus took 20 hours, but it was great.
20
Yeah,
hours is a lot.
it is a long time. Yeah,
It's a
like
lot.
this whole region is really big. It's really, really big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. Like I spent like a week in Buenos Aires and then I went back to Brazil. And then after Brazil, I went to the Middle East. I spent some time in Dubai and Doha. And then I came back to Bangalore. So that's my
Oh, did you
around the world.
cry on the last day of your trip that I'm like, it's ending?
Mm, I don't think I did, but I think the saddest I was when I realized I'm leaving the Spanish land. That was the
Ah.
saddest. Like that's when it really hit me. With Brazil, I really didn't want to leave. I had too much fun in Rio.
Oh my God. Okay, now I mean, FOMO's increasing and increasing for me. I'm having a lot of personal problems listening to you. All right. I genuinely think that if you're going to go country by country, this podcast will end tomorrow or day after only.
Yeah.
So you tell me. So I went through your tweets and I've seen that you've done a lot of different kind of experiences in different countries. Now I'm going to ask you a very difficult question that you tell me highlights of in each country. What has been one, oh my God, you cannot get over it kinds? Like it can be a bad
Okay.
experience as well, because you're such a long vacation, and anything and everything can
True.
happen. So tell us some kind of, all the highlights of if you
Highlights.
go country by country that you, I love just saying this,
Uh,
others would say city by city, and in your case, it's country by country. How beautiful. Yes.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
know. I can start with your point one. So I've read that blog of yours where there was this one experience that you had at the start of your trip, which was in California.
and that story really stood out for me.
Is when you were in California, you went into the driverless vehicle.
Oh yeah.
How was that, dude? I have not sat in one yet. I've only
yeah.
seen videos of it. How was it?
It was so cool. Oh my God, it was really cool. So I did not plan on doing it. One of my friends had an invite code.
Was it
I
invite
forgot
only
the name.
thing?
Yeah. It's
Oh.
Waymo. So Waymo is the
Waymo,
company.
yeah.
Basically, they're like Uber, but like the specialty is that the cars are all driverless, right? So it was only invite only, and it's only in San Francisco area.
Okay.
So it was new even to the people there. So when I was going the car, right, people would take pictures of the car and like point at it and all of that. So it was still a very new experience.
Oh, I'm a
From the
sucker for
get-go,
such crazy tech, man. It's so
I
fun.
know it was very cool, and I had like everything happened to me on that thing. Like the car actually stopped. It was because another car ahead of it was parked in a weird way. So it was taking like a bit of the street, and this car just stuck. It was just like standing there. Everyone else behind me like overtook and like going with this car. I can't go. Yeah.
Wow. Then.
So they thought about this really well. So there's actually a customer support button there. So you can call them and you can tell them, hey, car is stopped, So then on the call itself, the car it became awake and started going again. So because even the car doors kind of get locked. If you are inside, you can't go out if you wanted to, right? Like I think there are some buttons I don't remember, but it's really cool. So you can also play music and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting experience.
So cool.
Yeah, I was hoping that it would go a little faster, but
what is the speed like?
It was maximum around 30 miles per hour or 35 miles per hour, not too much. I think just taking the video of it was very cool. And I think the funniest reaction was I sent that video to my brother. I have a 5-year-old nephew. So him seeing it, he was the happiest. He was like, how can a car drive without a driver?
I know.
So
I know. And sitting in India, we cannot fathom that to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. So it was really fun. So it was a very tech experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have so much fun seeing those car self-driving videos things. So when I read that you had done this particular story in your blog, I had to mention it here. So that was a US and California wala experience, right? Now, Phalgun, you can
take it forward.
And then, Mexico was, if I had to rank all the countries, like Mexico would probably come at the bottom for me. I did not have like intense experiences. I don't know. Somehow I felt like it did not offer me anything unique. That's probably why I did not enjoy it so much. And also, I think the kind of places that I chose were always like the beach places, like the water places and stuff. And along this trip, I realized I actually am more of a mountain person than like a beach person.
Oh, the beach versus mountain. Mountain is winning. Oh man. You don't like to go and get suntanned on a beach?
No, definitely not.
None of us do, I think. I mean, at least in our country.
Exactly. Yeah. But like there was one particular place which I really liked, this place called Bacalar. So the interesting thing about Bacalar is that it's a massive lagoon. It's not an ocean. It's not a sea. It's a lagoon or like a lake, like a huge lake. So the distinct part about this is the lagoon has 7 shades of blue in it. So each time that you see, it has like different varying shades of blue, and the water is not too deep. It's just like 5 feet for a very long distance. So you can actually just walk into it. The sand is soft and the sand is white. It's very clean. It's transparent water. It was beautiful. I spent like 5 days or something in that place, and I had good company as well. Like these were people that I met in the previous city. We all traveled together to Bacalar. And the best part is the water is not salty. I think that's my biggest beef with ocean and sea in general. It's too salty for me. It's just like I come out feeling, oh, why did I go in? And this one was fresh water. So I spent so much time in the water there. That was
so if you ask this mountain versus beach question for me, I'm the beach person.
Okay.
Show me water, I will jump in. Any form of water. Show me a lake, I'll jump. River, I'll jump. Waterfall, I'll jump. Sea, ocean, middle of the ocean, anywhere I'll jump in. So, I mean, listening to this whole 5 feet of water, you can just float there and
exactly,
so chill and so calm. What fun, man. How lovely. So you did find great set of friends with whom you were traveling here already, and bunch of strangers is what I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. Like there were people that I met outside of hostels as well. There's one person that I traveled with in Peru who I'd actually met in Morocco last year. We both were in the same place at the same time, so we decided to like travel together a few days. So yeah, I would even like meet people, say from 2 months ago. I'd met people on like a walking tour, and I met them randomly inside a museum, like say 2 months later. There was a couple who I met 3 different points of the trip, like you'd randomly accidentally bump into them. So that would happen a lot because people also tend to like follow the same trails and
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So
but it gives you such joy, this randomly unplanned
oh
meets,
yes,
right? It's like how in radio we'll suddenly listen to one favorite song and we get so thrilled. It's like that suddenly you're walking and you find the same person. Hey, what's up? How's the trip been going? And all these kind of conversations is so fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this was about your highlight in the Mexico
Yeah,
set
Mexico
of
was
experiences. Yeah.
Yes.
Where next?
The next was Guatemala. Guatemala, I think, yeah, hands down the active volcano. It's honestly, Guatemala is one of my favorite countries. Like even today, I was thinking about, oh, maybe I should go live in Antigua again.
Oh, really? Tell
Antigua,
us more, because I
yeah.
really don't know much about Guatemala, and it also
Okay.
happens to be a country that we have not spoken about in the podcast at all.
Okay.
So tell us lots about Guatemala.
Okay, so Guatemala is so it's basically part of Central America. So when people think about North America, right, it's only until Mexico, and then everything below Mexico until Panama is Central America. So these are countries like Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, stuff like that. So Central America, according to me, it's one of the most upcoming, travel destinations in the world. It is going to be the next Southeast Asia, according to me, because it's cheap, a lot of young crowd, a lot of partying, insane nature. Some of the most unique landscapes and nature that you would find there, lots of volcanoes, and like wildlife is very, very unique. So, and they honestly, what I imagine South America to me was actually Central America, and South America was a lot more advanced than what I thought it was going to be. So yeah. So Central America is big on importing stuff from the US. So they have these private buses which take you from one place to another, like how we have BMTC in Bangalore, right? But it's a dominant. So here, what they do is they buy these old school buses from the US and totally pimp it out, like crazy colors, crazy horns. Each bus is of like a different color. So this one's called a chicken bus. It's very cheap. It's so it's one of the cheapest modes of transport. The drivers are super rash. It's
all Ma like Ma rules. They'll do whatever they want to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't know if you've ever taken a bus in like this Mangalore area. Like,
yes, Mangalore and Karnataka and Kerala, craziest. Everyone is like, tomorrow I'm going to die. And they'll speed, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was like that. Like these buses are like that. So chicken buses are like an experience.
Okay.
Interesting thing about Guatemala was that Guatemala was the whole of Central America was one country at one point, and then progressively they all broke off into different countries. So Antigua is like one of the oldest cities of the region, and it was the capital of whole of Central America. So they thought that the city was cursed because there were two big volcanic eruptions and earthquakes and all of that, because there are a lot of volcanoes nearby. So even in the city of Antigua, if you're just walking around, you'll see like a huge ass volcano, dormant volcanoes, and on a clear day you can also see the active volcano from Antigua with like the smoke coming out and all of that.
Crazy, wow.
Yeah. So it has a lot of colonial history, and it's like a really small town. It's not like very big. So they moved the capital to something called as Guatemala City, which is 1 hour away. That's where like all the city stuff is. Like Antigua became this touristy, very old, great city, city. So Antigua, that's where I also volunteered to be like there for my trekking shop experience. It's also in the same place. So the most exciting thing that people come to for Guatemala is the Acatenango volcano, or the Acatenango hike. So you hike up this volcano called Acatenango, which is actually a dormant volcano. Super, super strenuous hike, because volcanoes in general, it's just like a cone, right? So you're constantly walking up. It's really intense on like your knees. And once you get to the top, to like almost the top, then you see another volcano, which is called Fuego, which means fire in Spanish. So this is an active volcano. right? So this is a volcano that erupts almost every 20-25 minutes. So during the day, you only see smoke coming out.
Okay.
That's all you see. As soon as the sun sets, that's when you start seeing the lava. It actually erupts and then just like float.
Insane.
Yeah. So the first time
Wow.
you see something like that, I don't think anything that I've seen comes close. It
Is
was
it
like, yeah.
safe?
Oh yeah, it is safe. It is safe.
How
So
cool.
yeah, so you can go a little closer as well. That's another 4 hour hike. So you already hike for about 6 or 7 hours, constant incline. Do this. You get here, and another 4 more hours. You go a little closer
Okay.
to like see it. But it's hard. It's a very hard trek. Even for me, like I thought that I am a seasoned trekker and all of that.
Mm.
I struggled. I struggled. I got cramps in my legs midway, around 70% through the hike. I got cramps. I had to rest every 20 seconds. I just couldn't move.
Wow.
There was a point
Wow.
where there was even no place to sit down. I would sit right there and almost crawl. It was intense. It was very, very horrible. Even like the trekking company that I went with, it was not the company that I, was volunteering. I had already
Mm-hmm.
done this before. I chose like a slightly inexpensive trekking operator, and they were pretty bad.
Mm.
So they didn't really offer a lot of help in, like overcoming the situation.
Wow.
um but like it was easier to just like continue going up than going back down, so I just kept going up. I'm so glad I did it. I was not I was slow, but yeah, it was amazing. The sun the So on my right side was Fuego, where like the active volcano is erupting, like say randomly. It would actually erupt with a sound like, almost like an earthquake sound, like boom, and like it would like
Wow. And
erupt.
every 20
Yeah,
minutes, 25 minutes.
yeah,
So when
every
you're and this trek is an overnight trek.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like you stay overnight as well,
So
and then
all
like
night it's like boom, boom, boom hota rehta hai.
exactly,
Oh
and
my God, this
yeah,
is
yeah,
thrilling.
and you have like these wooden cabins, right? These
Mm.
wooden cabins with glass mirrors. So even when you're sleeping and you just open your eyes in the middle of the night, you could potentially see like the volcanoes like erupting right there,
Yo,
like right in
Phalgun,
front of
man,
you.
this is
It's
nuts.
amazing.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was incredible. Yeah.
Mm.
So that was actually like that's just one part of it. Other things that was making it beautiful was that on the right side was like Fuego erupting randomly,
Hmm.
and then on the left side the moon is rising. I've never seen a moon rise from the horizon.
Wow.
So that was
Beautiful.
incredibly beautiful as well, because we had moonlight and then we also had like the volcano. And the next morning we had to wake up at like around 4 a.m. to go watch the sunrise. So we still haven't summited. We still haven't gotten to the top of the
Hmm.
volcano, the one that
Hmm.
we are on. So we go to the top of the volcano. Beautiful sunrise. And now you can see the entire, landscape, 360 degrees. It's flat. You're on a very high altitude. You can see Antigua, the city. You can see like other volcanoes. It was incredibly beautiful. I think
Wow.
I've seen a lot of sunsets, a lot of sunrises. Is the number one that I've done. Like my
Wow. And
best
you've done a
sunrise so far.
lot of treks, man. Like Himalayan trek
Yeah.
वगैरह काफी इंडिया में भी काफी किया है तुमने. Wow, this is
Yes,
very cool.
exactly.
But nothing can beat having an active volcano in front of you,
Exactly.
Spewing
Yeah.
out lava. Wow. So we had done an Indonesia trip a few years back, and that was the
Hmm.
year when when the volcano was erupting over there.
Agung, yeah,
Right.
right.
So we went
Hmm.
right at that time. So there were advisories coming that, soon tourism is going to take a pause kinds. And we were in Bali, and we had, in fact, we had gone to Gili Travangan. And we
Okay.
were in Gili and the volcano erupted. So
Oh
actually, I
wow.
have photographs where I am on that swing, that very popular swing in Gili where you're into the water and swinging, right?
Uh-huh,
Where I'm
uh-huh.
sitting on
Right.
that swing,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
have
yeah.
the volcano is behind me in Bali and erupting. So
Oh
it's
wow.
it's gorgeous,
It's
and that was
great.
the
Yeah.
closest that I came to seeing a volcano. So I did a
Yeah.
volcano hike, a trek, an early morning volcano trek, and all that as
Mhm.
well. But that was not
Part
like the
tour, yeah.
lava
Mhm.
erupting kind. That just had like some smoke
Yeah.
and some when steam will come out
Ah,
and things.
okay.
It was cute. It was cute. But this is insane. I
Yeah.
mean, having a active volcano with lava spewing out, and you can just go and see it as a part of a safe trek is
Yeah.
crazy.
So, Falgun, I was reading about this Akatanango trek that you're talking about. And in every article that I read, the person who actually was trekking said that they were crawling by the end of this trek.
Very intense trek, and they
Okay,
called
that's
it.
helpful.
Yeah, they said because it's a volcano. The Akatanango is a volcano itself. So your entire hike up is only vertical. So there is no place where you can actually walk horizontal and take a break. You always are hiking up. And so it gets really intense. And almost every person said that, I just can't make it. There are just pebbles all around it. I know I'm going to crawl. So you're not the only one. So you are still the pro trekker. Don't worry about it. I just wanted to make you feel better.
Thank you. That's helpful.
But please share some of the videos or the pictures that you took of this place. We do put out a blog and where we will want to show some of these to our listeners because they are getting the vivid description from you, but they would like to see it as well, I'm sure. So definitely share these with us.
Definitely.
Wow. What can beat this, man? And Guatemala was the third leg of your trip itself.
Yes.
Starting at quite a high point.
Yeah,
how else was the country? How else was the city of Guatemala and all of it?
Oh, I love it. It was beautiful. I think Guatemala is still like a very, very developing country. Like it can be considered to be a poor country. So I only saw like 50% of the country, even though I was there for 3 weeks. Like the northmost parts, I still didn't go. The food was interesting. Like food was good. It was different. It had a lot more vegetables in the food compared to Mexico, which was a great thing for me. Like I'm non-vegetarian. I eat meat, but I grew up vegetarian. So at least having like some kind of veggies and fiber in my diet was great. Like Mexico was like really poor in that sense. So the other interesting thing that happened when I was in Guatemala was the week of Easter, Holy Week. It's called Semana Santa. It's a very, very big festival in Latin American cultures. And Antigua has the more interesting one. So what they have is they have parades and processions every day where they're carrying like basically it's like Jesus Christ on the cross. So one day it'll be like the men carrying it, one day it'll be the women, one day it'll be like the small children,
younger girl kids,
small boy. So and they have like processions, they have dances, and it's very, very cool. They're wearing different ethnic wear, and like there's like a lot of dancing, and the procession goes through like different streets. And all the streets that they go, there are some maps. And so the people who live in those streets, they do almost like a rangoli, like a flower and fruit rangoli, where they deck up the entire street with different things. So the residents, for them, it's like almost like, I want to do something different and new this year, right? So they're kind of like competing, and it's not like competing against each other. Like people are helping them. Even tourists start helping them put stuff together.
What fun!
Yeah, and all of this where people just like, walk. When the procession comes, they just walk on it and it's gone, right? So it's so beautiful. Yeah, but it's still beautiful that they put in so much effort. They'll sit overnight and make it happen. So it's not like a 1 hour thing. It's an 8 to 10 hour effort that goes into
elaborate, man.
Yeah. So they do like very different ones. Some people use fruit, some people use vegetables, some people use silverware. Each one is very, very different. So you kind of walk around and like see all of this. So Holy Week is big. I was thankfully there in Antigua at that time.
How festive.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't know, from the limited knowledge that I have about the place, people are very colorful. They wear very colorful clothes there. When such festivals and all that, now they want to wear even more of their best, finest outfits. It'll be so fun to just be a part of that. Local festivities kinds. Like I'm sure when they come here during Navratri, it'll be so fun, or during Holi, it'll be so fun over here. So similarly, being a part of their local festivals is so fun. And then did you in any of these experiences here, did you get to go to a local's house and eat?
Yes, I did. Guatemalans especially. Whole of Latin America, like they were very kind to me. Like a bunch of times they invited me to their house. So I enjoy like going to places where, it's not touristy. It's where like the locals live, and because any touristy area is always put up, right? It's kind of like
it's like In Europe, it's the squares. In India, it's the mall
Yeah,
road.
exactly.
It's just all the same.
Yeah, or MG
yeah,
Road, right?
yeah. Same. All are
Yes,
same.
yeah.
Yes.
If you had to give the example of Bangalore, right? Someone who's visiting Bangalore will probably go to Indiranagar, MG Road. No one goes to Vijayanagar. Vijayanagar is where I live. So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
And that place
So
has the most killer local food that you can get.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So when I travel, I really want to get a sense of how a common person lives.
Yeah.
What does like the house of common person look
I
like?
was going to ask you that next. So
Yeah,
how is that house like? Is it
exactly.
similar to like a middle class house in India?
Yeah, it was. It was very similar. Like how there is not a lot of space between buildings and it's all like
Yes.
stuck together.
Mm.
The roads are narrow, and there's like a grocery store or like a convenience store a few blocks away, stuff like that. So it was very nice. Really good.
Yeah. In your
I also
blog's words, it's same but different.
same exactly. Yeah, same somewhat different. It's so uncanny, but yeah.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Oh, I'm already loving the sound of Guatemala, man. It seems
Yeah,
very happy place. It's very happy place.
it is.
Yes.
It definitely is.
Lovely. Okay, so that was Guatemala.
Yes. After that, I
Where do you
went
take
to
us
Colombia. Wow, Colombia was
the land of drug lords. I mean, in fact, all of this
right?
entire region is land of drug lords only.
Oh
From what
yeah,
we know, because of all the TV series and movies that we watch, the only thing we know is they all dance salsa or tango, and they are all
correct.
drug
Yeah.
lords. It's like one of this.
So I did have my first tryst with a gangster or like a
What are
drug
you saying
lord
you did?
in Guatemala itself, in Antigua. So there was this guy who was in the club when he was dealing drugs. I could see it happening. Like had like a bunch of henchmen around him, who are just like literally just standing there as bodyguards, and he's sitting on the sofa and all of that. So the friend that I was with, she was a local, and she actually knew him. So we went and she introduced me, and we were like, I was basically partying with gangsters for a while.
What is it so cool? Did you change your name? You should have changed your name. Something like Pablo kinds, but that's the only name I know. I'm trying to think of a second name and I can't think of it. Oh my Phalgun, that is so crazy. What kind of conversation should you have with them, man?
Yes. Oh, so that was when my Spanish was still not great. Like, and this person did not speak any English. So I just like introduced myself. I told him I was from India. He gave me a fist bump, and then yeah.
You must have been one of the few Indians that this person would have kind of
exactly.
With,
yeah.
Man.
I met so many people who said that I was the first resident Indian that I've actually met. So.
Wow.
Yeah, all this helps.
Yeah. How was partying with drug lords, man?
It was good. I love the Latin American partying culture. It's very imbibed into them. I keep telling this to my friends when they ask me after I came back as well. So in Southeast Asia also has a lot of partying, right? It's known for it, but it's an activity that's made for tourists. You don't see a lot of locals who are doing it. It's not part of their culture. But in Latin America, partying is part of their culture. The tourists are just joining them.
Okay.
Like it's not an experience designed for tourists. So that was the biggest difference that I saw. Even their dancing or like their music is very upbeat. You can either do salsa or you can do reggaeton, all kinds of like Spanish music. Wow. And both of them are like very intimate, and you can always ask someone to dance with you. It's very good. It's like a cultural experience for them. Like it's even on like a weekday evening, you can see like a lot of people. There are tables in like the footpaths where they're sitting and drinking beer. So it felt like
very cool.
It was amazing, honestly.
They are happy people, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
They are happy people. On weekdays, if they like to go do something, it's so cool. So how much of dancing did you do?
So much.
So much? Oh my, really? Tell me more.
So in Mexico, I took my first salsa class. I did take multiple salsa classes over the course of the time, and I've been told that I'm not bad, and
nice.
So I'm not like great, but like no, there are people who spend like a month in Colombia just to learn salsa. And, like,
wow.
So I'm nowhere close to that. And after a point, like when you're traveling for that long, right, you tend to also ration your energy, like I don't want to go out every day. I'd want to like go out when like the most fun is. So later on, I also realized my rhythm and like my, what I am open up for. And lot of dancing, a lot of reggaeton. And one of the quickest ways to know if a place is good or not is to see like how many locals versus foreigners are there. So foreigners are called gringos in Spanish, usually means a white person. So if you only see like, say, gringos, right, you know that, okay, this is not an authentic place. You're going to get ripped off. The drinks are going to be expensive. This music is going to be very commercial. No one really knows how to do reggaeton here. So
interesting, very nice.
So you go to a place where there are more locals, and they're very, very comfortable dancing with new people, and like they're very welcoming in that sense. So
nice.
And what is their drinking style like?
Like, are they heavy on beer, or I mean, like what from again?
Good question.
We knows that they're all tequila folks, guys. What do you see
Correct.
usually?
Honestly, I didn't explore alcohol as much. I'm a big beer drinker. So Mexico was big on drinking. Beer is basically water in Mexico. Like they're constantly drinking. Yeah, and tequila and mezcal are like the other local forms of alcohol. That's also very popular. I find it really strong for me, so I didn't really like go experience it or explore it too much. Even in Guatemala, they had a local drink. That was very nice. It's like some form of like a local liquor. Each country had their local liquors for sure.
Right.
I only tried them. Like caipirinha is like a very popular drink in Brazil and stuff. So I definitely tried it. If I liked it, I would continue doing it. Otherwise, I'd stick to beer.
Right.
So yeah, but beer is definitely one of the biggest ones.
Very nice.
Oh, so
I am set.
Yeah. Yes. So one of the interesting things about beer in there is they have massive bottles. I saw 1.5 liter bottle of beer. I've only seen 660 ml, 600 ml.
That's
here,
right. I've never seen like massive bottles.
Exactly.
I mean, you see mugs that are 1.5 liters and all that.
Yeah.
But I've never seen bottles.
So they actually give you a bottle which is 1.5 liters, and that was a culture shock for me. I was like, wow, who's drinking 1.5 liters? It doesn't even get warm.
Oh my, wow. And good beer, like they have, do they have like a few different varieties?
Yes,
like lager and IPA and all.
IPAs are definitely craft beer, like it's like gourmet, like that. So usually it's lager.
They like the beer and they like dancing. And great music.
Yes.
And do they just break out into music and dance in the middle of the road and all that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they do.
They movies are depicting all these things correctly, then I would say. I mean, this is the things that you see, right?
Yeah. Wow. So they're big on salsa, and salsa is like a very communal dance. Like you can do it with a kid, you can do it with a stranger, you can do it with your mother. So salsa is like a very communal thing for them.
So
salsa
crazy, because here it's a very intimate form of dance.
Correct,
how it's treated over here, right?
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
So, and they learn salsa as kids because like the parents are dancing salsa with them, right? And so I saw like multiple instances where there'd be like a band playing or like music on a loudspeaker. People break out into dance, especially older people. It's very heartwarming to see like an old couple dancing, it's incredible because they don't have to be like great dancers. In my experiences, they were actually very graceful, very cute dancers, and the fact that like an old couple is doing this, it was a beautiful experience. Yeah. And I haven't seen that in India, like, which is weird because everyone jokes that, oh, do people dance in India? Like, because they're all seeing Bollywood dancers,
correct,
background dancers. Like, it doesn't happen in India.
It doesn't at all, actually. Very interesting. Okay, so lots of cute, fun things in your Guatemala stint.
Yeah, it was cool.
Then Colombia. You have moved to Colombia, and that's when I suddenly remembered the drug lord. What is it?
No, even in like Colombia, definitely did. So one of the biggest reasons people visit Colombia is one is Pablo Escobar, and number two is salsa. And maybe number three is also like the Caribbean coast of Colombia, which is like very nice and fun. So let me start with like the whole Pablo Escobar thing, right? I think especially with Narcos and all of the, like media around this one.
Absolutely.
It's gotten really popular. So there's a lot of Pablo Escobar tourism, essentially, where there are guided tours to like go to his, watch his place where he grew up or like where he used to stay and stuff like that. So weirdly, again, the locals are split between whether it's good or bad, because pretty much everyone, at least in like the local region where the drug lords operated, there'd always be someone in the family who died because of this.
Correct.
Either they were shot or
Yeah.
so the people are really split. Like some people would be like, this gave us employment, this gave us like say means to make a living. While some of them are like, this wasn't the right way to do it. There have been deaths, there have been like, a lot of loss of
Yeah.
life. So people are very split between it. And so there is this one communa. So just a quick overview on what Medellin is. Medellin is, there's a small flatland, and all across at 360 degrees, there are small hillocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the hillocks, it's all gentrified, like all houses have come up, right? And it's all like these favela kind of houses where each one is like right next to each other, each one facing like a different direction and all of that. And none of them are painted. I'll probably tell you why they're not painted a little later. So
Mm-hmm.
in the night, like now this is 360 degrees, right? All hills are filled with houses.
So you're in a valley and you have
Yeah.
the place filled around you with houses
Correct.
in a like on a slope kind of a thing.
Correct.
And I'm getting this picture because I've watched Narcos. We have seen a scene like that.
So I haven't
Perfect.
watched Narcos.
Mm.
I actually haven't watched Narcos. So, and this valley is also really small. It's not like a very big valley. So in the night, all of the lights in the houses light up, right? So
Twinkling.
it looks like stars. Yeah, it looks like stars.
Wow.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's a beautiful city. So one of these hills is called Comuna 13. Comuna is like, there's Comuna 1, 2, 3. So it's Comuna 13, Comuna Tresa in Spanish. So that is where like the highest amount of drug lord activity happened. So
Wow.
whoever controlled Comuna 13 controlled like the entire production because that was the closest to the highway on which like the drugs would get transported. So this was the Comuna, which was because of that reason, everyone tried to, hold the power in that place. So there's a lot of deaths, a lot of gunshots, a lot of, backstabbing and stuff like that.
All
So
the
it was
drama, everything over there.
Exactly, right? So it was in 91 or 89 or something. It was declared the most unsafe place on earth.
Oh.
Right.
Oh,
so,
the Time magazine declaring it as the most
yes.
unsafe place. Yeah, I read about it. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then like once Pablo Escobar died and the government kind of kicked in into, cleaning up the image. So they did a spectacular job of, like redoing the image of Comuna 13. So this entire place now is a beautiful experience. Every single person who goes to Colombia should go there. Beautiful street art. So there are rules on who does the art and who kind of replaces the art. So even if there's like a big mural, so if another person comes in and thinks that, okay, I have a better idea for this. So they go to the original artist with their idea, present it to them, and the original artist agrees, then you can repaint over it.
Wow.
Right? So they have rules.
Democratic way of doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And the community itself, they're trying to like get the kids into like sports and, trying to basically give education a priority and not let them get into it. So it's again like a hill. So you walk up and or instead of walking up, there are also like these cable cars that you can go to. Like,
how smart.
Yeah. It's there in multiple places. So it's actually like a lot of modernization, or rather transformation has happened to the region, that it is super safe now. Great parties, great nightlife, even at the top. I had a very fun experience. And the lanes are also super narrow, by the way. Only a two-wheeler can go. Only a cycle can go. No cars can go. So that was one of the reasons why the cops could never catch the people involved in the drug trade, because they did not know these areas. The locals always would, easily escape. No one knew the geography of the place.
It's truly lanes and by lanes only.
Exactly.
In the real meaning of the word.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you genuinely felt extremely safe walking around there.
Oh,
you didn't
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
definitely.
Weird at all, like eerie, nothing.
No, nothing.
So
It has a
cool.
lot of activity. There's no way you'd think that, oh wow, like people are just like having fun. Like they're not even like thinking about violence. So
very nice.
What kind of street art did you see?
Oh, it was beautiful. Like it was massive ones. I also saw like a Indian spiritual one that was done with like namaste. And it was a bit on like wildlife. It was a bit on some of the troubles the community went through. It was also like say about the deaths that have happened. So each art was of different types.
Stunning. I love street art.
Oh, me too. You would love Latin America. Like they're big on street art. Yeah, they're big on street art.
Nice.
We did a walking tour, and that's what the guide was all like talking to us. So they apparently got voted the most innovative neighborhood in the world because of all the transformation. So there has been a huge shift, like say from 91 to like say 2020. that they completely
Fantastic.
transformed the area. It was incredible to see like the transformation. So
Efforts
full
have been
props to
put
them.
in, man. Amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Very impressive. Tell us more
Yeah,
about
it
the
was.
neighborhood. You said you did a crazy party there. How was that? What was it?
Oh, so I think that was my first experience of like proper reggaeton in Colombia.
Hmm.
Reggaeton is again a very intimate form of dance. So now when you're at the top of one of these hillocks, right? So now you can see like the rest of the hills as well. So
Hmm.
especially in the night, you see like this whole lights again come up, and it's a beautiful view. And I don't know if this was a thing unique to Comuna 13 or something, but pretty much every shop can sell alcohol there. So anyone, and if they see like some fun group of people come in, they'll just turn on their speakers and blast music, like a regular convenience store. And you start dancing on the streets.
This is so festive, crazy fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And people
it
just
was
dance?
incredible. Yeah. This is like join in, and then there's like reggaeton. It was good. It was fun to meet like some local people. So we also hung out with them later on. So it led to like a lot of new experiences for me. Like Colombia is like one place people tend to have a lot of safety fears.
Okay.
They say that don't trust anyone, you'd get mugged or kidnapped or and stuff like that. I think my risk appetite is slightly high when it comes to travel. So I was down for it, but yeah, like I have had like zero negative experiences in my entire time. Like the maximum that's happened to me is that I got scammed where I paid extra for like a mobile recharge versus that's like the highest that's happened to me. So in general, Colombia has been safe, except for Cali. Cali is this one city down south. So Cali is the salsa capital of the world.
Oh.
So they have their own version of salsa. They have multiple people go there just to learn bachata, salsa, and all the other dance forms. It's so ingrained that every hostel in Cali has a free salsa class every day, like 1 hour free salsa class for everyone in the hostel.
Oh my
Yes. So
God. That's very nice.
they have this thing on every Fridays. They have street salsa. So there's like one entire intersection, like a full street. People come out, everyone's doing salsa on the street.
Do they judge you if you're average?
No, so crowded, like no one even like is watching you when you're doing salsa.
But you have to pick up a partner, right? For
Yeah.
this.
Like if you can speak Spanish, you can like go ask anyone in the street to do like dance with you. Or if you're going with a friend, you just like do it with a friend.
And then if you're average, they don't tell you anything. That,
Yeah, they'll teach you.
time.
They'll teach you.
I
Especially,
love it.
yeah. Especially if you're a woman, I think it's super easy to learn salsa because you don't have to like lead, right? As a guy, it's a little harder because you need to lead, etc. And Caleñes salsa is completely different than like regular salsa. The salsa that you learn in Mexico, etc., is called Cubano salsa. It's actually from Cuba. So this one is like a slightly more faster, a lot of leg movements. They're like they just like keep going straight.
Oh my,
So
wow.
yeah, it's really fast, it's very hard. So a lot of people, even in my hostel, they were staying for like a month, etc., like learning salsa every day. And we also went to like a cabaret where there are like professional salsa dancers who are putting up a show. And there's also like an open floor. So this was a very unique place that they get professional salsa dancers to come be guests, and then like they pull out people and like make them dance with them. So everyone gets to dance like really well. Like, and I wasn't dancing because I was so bad. After looking at all the other people, I was like, yeah, no way I'm going to do dancing. And towards the end, they make everyone on the floor come and dance. And I was dancing with one of the artists who was up on the stage there. She randomly found me. I was like, yes, I'm dancing with you. And I danced with her. And I apparently wasn't bad. So that was like a great win for me. Yeah.
So it's the confidence that is lacking. Otherwise,
I know.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm loving it. This is so fun. Just randomly dancing with professionals. When can you ever do that?
True. I wish I took more classes and like to learn it a little more, honestly. But it's hard. It's hard. You need a lot of focus. You need to remember your steps and all of that. It's hard. It's not easy.
So I enjoy dancing, but I have great trouble remembering steps. But just tell me to randomly go and dance, move up and down, and just go here and there. And I really enjoy that. I have the worst memory for following dance steps, man. Oh God. Oh, fantastic.
Oh yeah. So the other part about Cali is that it is the more unsafe parts of Colombia. There was a guy who I saw him in like the airport there, in like the airport once I landed. I also saw him on the hostel again. Like we both ended up in the same hostel. It was
Okay.
very funny. Like I'd been seeing him multiple times. And the same night, it was a Friday night. So it was a street salsa day. So there were like a bunch of us going, and the hostel guy told us, do not go by yourself. Always go with someone else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you get mugged, phone snatched, etc. So this other guy with me, he was Argentinian, and we both went together. And his phone actually got mugged that night. So that was very surprising. Like everyone was like constantly talking about take extra precautions. Don't just stand outside even your hostel once it's dark. So people like just come up, show up with like a gun and like ask for your money or, like, phone and stuff. So
yeah, we'll get हम लोग तो डर के मारे जो लेना है ले लो भाई.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like I think the bigger problem is that if I lose my phone or my wallet, like these are single points of failure. Like I don't get OTPs, I can't do online transactions. So it's very
that
important.
Dependent, right? Oh my God.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, okay, phone leke jao, but don't touch my passport. Then yeah, phone is also so big. Yeah, very true, man. If this OTP is business, na, it's like just too much. Ever lost anything in travels during this entire trip?
I did lose my card. This happened in towards the end of Colombia. So
how
funny that you bring this up. Look, let's move to the next country. So what happened was I was this bank. I've been using them since a long time now, and it's never failed on me. I'd called them up before leaving, saying that, hey, listen, I'm going to a bunch of these countries. Make sure you don't block me thinking that someone's stolen my card.
That's right.
Yeah. And on my last day of Colombia, after that, I go into Peru. So there are like probably 2 transactions in like a single day in like different countries. They block my card, right? It was also my fault that I only had 1 debit card. So this one got blocked, and it took a long time. It took almost a week for them to even get back with an answer.
1 week?
Yeah,
that's a long
I know.
Time. I thought when you said a lot of time, I thought maybe 4 hours.
No,
1 week is
it was really bad.
Then?
It was really bad. So Peru is also like a pain for tourists because they don't let you withdraw too much money in a single ATM withdrawal. So it's just around $200 is what they let you withdraw. And even FI has a 20,000 INR limit per day. So that's around $250. Right? So it's very little money. So $250 is, even for me, is like 5 days of budget, right? Like after that, I need to get more money. And I wasn't using credit cards. I was relying on like this one single card, and it was blocked. And I was it was like a very do or die kind of situation because I was going to be like left with no money. And after one point, I'd reached a place where I had only enough money to buy 1 more meal. So I started using like another credit card, which is not very favorable and all of that. I was somehow like,
you don't have a choice. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then?
But through this whole episode, I should have been either angry or, like upset or any of that. Interestingly, I was nothing. I was very calm and I was very, like I was still going about my day and all of that. I just realized that it was because I already felt very privileged and grateful that I was even having this experience, that I can't really complain about things like this, like I shouldn't have been doing things like this. And being able to do something like this just made me so already grateful that this didn't feel like a thing to be upset about. And there was like a profound life lesson for me there, thinking that because even in Bangalore, I think that I have like enough things to be like privileged about or to be grateful for. So why am I letting like say smaller things upset me? That was
it's
like
very sweet of you, but oh my God, I'm getting anxious thinking about it.
No, I knew that things are going to work out. I somehow had like knew it in my gut that it's going to work out. So the card actually didn't work until the end of my trip. Like it still doesn't work. So what I did was I had to do a Western Union money transfer. So this is where like my Twitter came in really handy. Like I'm grateful to so many people. They checked in on me. They asked me, do you need any help? Do you need any money? Stuff like that. So people were really nice to me. So one friend told me that I can use Western Union to transfer US dollars from the US to Peru. Just that I will need a local ID to do it. Like, so a local person can do it. I can't do it myself. So I had a friend, I'd met a friend, and she helped me actually do it. She didn't scam me. Like she was basically getting $1,000 in her name. She could have just taken it and ran away.
My life.
Yeah, exactly. So
and net, they are also strangers who you've befriended through this trip, right? So you don't know them since years that you can trust, but you were in a Zen mode, Phalgun. So you're like, what can go wrong? I'm so grateful. How sweet. It's good. It's good to be in that mode, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trust humanity.
So exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Very nice.
it
So
was
things
sorted.
worked out achhe se.
Correct. Yes.
Wow. What an
And
entry into Peru you've made, man. With a bang.
exactly. Yeah.
And on this point, let's take a quick break and we'll come back for more stories on Peru and many other countries. Hey, a commercial break? Not really. This is a request to you to check out our labor of love, a newsletter on Substack called Sneaky Footprint. It's from our team at Misadventures of a Sneaker. We write about travels, vacations, travel tips, anecdotes, lots of pictures, and of course, a suggested itinerary too. Do check it out, misadventuresofasneaker.substack.com. And hey, we have now started a new service of curating travel itineraries to destinations made just for you. So if you want to get your vacation planned, leave us a note on Instagram or DM us on our Substack page and we will plan something special for you. Please support us by following and subscribing to our newsletter and Instagram page, Misadventures of a Sneaker. All links are in the show notes. Thank you. Welcome back from the break. I suddenly remembered this one thing.
You had mentioned that I forgot to ask you. So you said many of these houses, when you were in Colombia, many of these houses are not painted, and you said you'll let me know later on why they're not painted. Why are they not painted?
Yeah. So this is very, very interesting. So it turns out, like in Colombia, if you paint the house, that means that the house is finished. And that's when you start paying taxes. So what people do is they don't paint the houses. So it's just bricks, it's just leave it like that. So they only paint the inside. They don't paint the outside.
You know what?
We were in Egypt and Cairo has exactly the same thing. All the houses are unpainted and unfinished. So I asked our guide guy, why is it so? And then that's exactly the same question. He said that they have some kind of a house tax or some whatever tax that they have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which they don't have to give. If you go inside, the house is plush and it's luxurious, but Bahar say it's just brick. So cool,
I thought
man.
It was very
Egypt,
smart.
Yeah, it is very smart, man. Correct.
Yeah.
No, very cool.
Nice.
Okay, so now we have moved very excitingly with your close to broke status into Peru.
Yeah, so I was broke. But I was still like running by, like, I think I knew things were gonna work out. It did eventually. And in Peru I was shocked at the number of hikes that Peru had. I had done, like, again, very little research. Towards the end of Colombia, I had fallen sick, so I wasn't in the right energy levels to start researching. So I just landed in Peru, and the first day itself, I got very, very overwhelmed with how many people were doing Machu Picchu, and it's like a big process around Machu Picchu. Like, you have to buy tickets, or if you don't have tickets, can you like do it or not? And like the websites are not helping. So it was very confusing. So I decided, okay, fine, I'm not going to worry about Machu Picchu. I'll just like go to another part of Peru now, right? So I went to the northern part of Peru, like slightly north.
You didn't do Machu Picchu?
I did.
Oh, I'm like, you went to Peru and didn't see Machu Picchu. That would be like, you're some other Zen level person, man. Like FOMO does not hit you kind of person. And my respect for you would have hit the roof, but I would shocked.
Right? I was actually considering not doing Machu Picchu just because of how much overwhelming it was in terms of consuming information and like how that everyone is doing. So I almost considered not doing it, but I did. I'm actually glad that I did it.
Thank God. I can't believe you going. I can't believe Latin America trip only without a Machu Picchu. Forget about Peru without Machu Picchu. Tell us. So you were in Peru. Quick question.
Okay.
You said you fell ill in Colombia. What do you do for medication over there? You carried a medication and
man.
like basic?
So I did. So thankfully I had told my doctor that I'm going to South America. So she had given a lot of malaria medicines and diarrhea and stuff like that. But like all I got was like a fever and cold and cough and stuff like that, for which I did not carry medicine, which was
only tomorrow I'm going to die kind of medicines you had carried, not like small cutie things.
Small.
Oh God.
So, but I did have a dengue scare. Like it's so I was in like a place which was dengue infested. I did hear a lot of people get dengue there. And I had all the symptoms of dengue. I had like fever. It wasn't going away. My after 4 days. And then I spoke to a doctor. I didn't want to go to a doctor there because one, language barrier, two, I don't want to like deal with it. Three, it'll be super expensive.
That's right.
So I just did like a online consultation in India, and they said, listen, we can't like confirm it's dengue or not unless you get a blood test.
That's right.
And I was like, okay,
Wow.
I don't want to go through the hassle of a blood test. I think as a person, I'm like, if I ignore it, it doesn't exist. It doesn't happen.
Lousy.
Yeah.
Okay. Just sheer willpower, and I don't have anything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna manifest it into like disappearing.
Yes, manifest. Yes.
Yeah. So then I told the doctor, okay, TK, like I'll wait one more day. If the symptoms persist, like if my headache goes away, like I think headache is like one of the biggest symptoms of swan headache and body ache. If these go away, then I guess it's not dengue. I waited 24 hours. It went away, thankfully. So
manifestation works.
It worked. Yes. So I think more than like being contracting dengue, my problem was that I would have to like stay indoors, take rest for a week. It just felt like, oh, I'm gonna miss so much time.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm on
I
a vacation. All these illnesses should come during office days, man.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So that was my biggest problem with it. And so then I continued in Colombia. Like I just had like that general weakness.
What do you do for food when you are unwell, especially? I mean, you just want to have like comfort food and things like that, right? So what do you do?
That's such a good question. I think I would just like go after familiar food like a pasta, like pizza, or even Indian food sometimes if I know like the place is good and all of that helped. Or even like say stuff like instant noodles are honestly comfort food. And Coke for some Coca-Cola for some reason.
Thanks for correcting.
So Coke is on. I don't know. It actually brings my spirits up.
Well, let Coca-Cola come and do some brand collaboration with me just
exactly.
For this. But very nice, man. Very nice. I mean, I'm glad even these places can give such kind of, because a lot of Europe has these dal soups, lentil soups. You get a lot of places. You get it these days. You get a lot of it in Europe as well. Or it used to be like Turkey and Morocco and all this. You get fantastic lentil soups and all this will help. I do not know whether LATAM has such kind of things.
None of those. Yeah, Colombia, especially for food, was very unexciting. So they had like I was only eating for nutrition. I never really explored food in Colombia because it was very like average. It was very straightforward. There's meat, there's salad, there's rice, and there's French fries. That's it.
Wow.
Every meal, right? Like after a point, you'd just be like, yeah, I'm eating because I need to eat and not because I need to experience anything. So it was very basic, but still good. Like I actually liked it. It was not so bad. There was no comfort food like that, like where I could get a soup or anything.
That's
unfortunately. So that's how I dealt with being sick. Even in Peru, towards the end, I did fall sick. Thankfully, I had medicines, so it helped. And
very nice.
I was okay. Yeah. So Peru had great food though. Like Peru had amazing food. Like I think of all the places that I went to, Peru had like the best food. So the biggest difference that I saw was that there was flavor, like, and they didn't use spices for flavor. They used ingredients for flavor. They'd use like paprika and like say bunch of other things to create that flavor. And they had like a very different kind of cuisine. It's probably close to nothing else in the world. They had a very different kinds of cuisine, and they had like a lot of varieties as well. My favorite was these two things called lomo saltado and ceviche. Ceviche is a very popular one. Like I think when you think of Peruvian food, people talk about ceviche. Ceviche is basically a fish salad. Fish is basically cured in lemon juice, and then there's like a lot of onion and like nice. It's like a nice comforting salad, very healthy as well. And lomo saltado is beef. It's like has a lot of onion and bell peppers, stuff like that. So it's like fried and it feels a little Chinese. So that's why I really liked it. It was great comfort food again.
Indian Chinese.
Oh man, like so that's actually there in Peru, surprisingly.
What are you saying?
Peru has So Peru has a big Chinese population. They look Chinese. but they speak Spanish. They're basically locals. And they brought in like their fried rices and like all of the Chinese food. So they call it shifa there.
Mm-hmm.
Tastes a lot, doesn't taste like Indo-Chinese, but tastes a little more like Chinese.
Okay.
But extremely oily that I didn't even like it. Like it felt like, there's so much oil in this fried rice, I don't want to eat it.
Okay.
So I wasn't a fan. But
Got it.
Peru otherwise had like great food. They had desserts which were really nice, and Peru is like a good place if you are a foodie to kind of go explore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So Peru, you're in Peru, but you did not start with Machu Picchu.
Yeah, so Peru was incredible, honestly. Like I did not expect it. I expected it to be a lot more like cities and people watching and culture, just like doing things within a city. It was none of that. It was just like hikes. That was a very surprising thing. I like hikes, so it was great for me. So I went to 4 different regions of Peru. So my whole style of traveling at this point had become that I'll have a base location.
Mhm.
I spend about 4 or 5 days there and do a lot of day trips from this place and then come back and then move my base, right?
Got it.
So I had like 4 bases like that in Peru. So one of this base was the city called Huaraz. Not even a city, it was a small town called Huaraz. It looks a lot like Leh in India.
Oh,
There are like mountains nearby. It's not a desert, it's like snow-capped mountains, a lot of greenery and all of that. So it's like a small valley. You see like mountains, big mountains all around, and you do like a lot of hikes there. I was in like this hostel which was really small and intimate. I became really good friends with the hostel people. They had a wall where you could write stuff. People from all over the world had written really cool things. I wrote stuff in Hindi because one of the hostel staff, she'd ask me how to say thank you in Hindi. So I actually wrote Shukriya with like
that's so nice.
transliteration on like phonetic translation on like how to say it. Yeah. And then I
Shukriya,
showed it
that's
to her
nice.
and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna now remember it. Yeah. And so I wrote something in Kannada as well because RCB had just won against CSK that IPL match where they were going into like
What
the
is Cup
playoffs.
Namde or
So there's like
something?
yeah, exactly. So I wrote that in Kannada. Oh,
Legendary,
it was,
man. Oh man,
it was
RCB
nice.
fans are the cutest ones. I'm also an RCB fan. Okay, always. Every year is Isal Cup Namde only. Every
Yeah.
year.
So we are the epitome of like, hope.
Hope,
Like
yes,
the hope
yes.
that never dies.
We're
right?
all good human beings, man. And I think the
So
PR team of RCB is like the best.
feels like they are a content company over like, a
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so that was the Peru hostel where
So
you wrote the RCB
yeah,
message and
that
came.
was the one.
Fantastic.
So I did like a bunch of hikes there. Unfortunately,
Mm.
I didn't do any multi-day hikes. So a lot of people go there to do multi-day hikes, 3-day hikes, 5-day hikes. I've heard it's beautiful, like hands down gorgeous. Even the day hikes that I did were incredibly beautiful. So the way it works is it's already on like a very high elevation. So it just takes you like 2 hours in a small private car to go to the starting point and maybe another 2 hours of hike to go up to like say 15,000 feet.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really accessible, and like 15,000 feet is pretty high because
It
in
is.
India to get to 15,000 feet, I usually hike 4 days and then come back 3 days, right? Like so, it's a 7-day affair. Here, I'm doing it in a single day, and the views were stunning. Like usually, there's a lake at the top of the mountain, and
Oh
it's like
man.
incredible mirror images and like reflections. It was
Oh.
beautiful. Yeah,
AMS
yeah.
issues in such places because you're already at such a high altitude?
There are AMS issues, but because you are at a higher height, you kind of get used to it. Like it's fine. I did have like a AMS issue in a different place. So after this, right, like after Huaraz, I did a bunch of hikes. I went to Cusco. I was there for like a week or so. Again, I did Machu Picchu. Once you actually go up there, you actually think it is very huge. Like that's what it hits you. Like it's so huge, it's beautiful, it's very aesthetically designed. I felt like it's even though it's on top of a mountain, the hikes were pretty good. Like my last day was very intense. I did 25 kilometers of walking.
You did the Machu
I
Picchu
had to go
hike? Like you hiked up Machu Picchu?
yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
like the 4-day affair, I think, right?
So that was a 4-day affair. Like I did it in a day. So I took a bus halfway through and then walked. So there are multiple ways of doing it. This is why it was so overwhelming because you can do it by a bus, you can do it by a train, you can do it by a trek, you can do it like zip lining. It's there's too many options.
Wow.
That is why it's overwhelming. You don't know which one to do.
Actually, you're the third person on my podcast talking about Machu Picchu.
And you're the third different way of reaching Machu Picchu. The first person said they did the entire
wow.
4-day hike. The second one said they went by train, and you're the third person saying you did halfway by bus, halfway by trek. So yes, you are right. It is it's a lot of ways, yo man. Wow, so cool.
It is
So cool.
So that was the time where I started feeling like it would have been nice if I was traveling with someone else, because like this logistical operations, like decision making and all of that could be split, right? You're not the one doing everything. And yeah, that was like one area I was actually getting mentally exhausted. There were like a couple of times where I'm not joking, I literally flipped a coin between two options because I just couldn't make up my mind. Those were like the times where I felt like it would have been nice to be, like traveling with like a friend or a partner or something.
Yeah. Nice. Decision making points are where you need company.
Yes. Oh yeah, so this is like probably like more memorable than Machu Picchu for me. I then moved to this area called Arequipa. So this is a desert area of Peru. So this is a proper desert, like no vegetation, nothing. But it's the second largest city after Lima. And so the interesting bit about it is because it's a desert, they have tons of volcanoes. Like huge, massive volcanoes. From the city itself, you can just see a volcano like all around you. Beautiful
dormant
sunsets.
Or active?
Dormant. All of them are dormant. So there's also like where the Atacama Desert in Chile, it's in the same region.
Okay.
It's, like barren, large landscape. So there is two volcanoes. Both are more than 6,000 meters high. So 6,000 meters is a significant number in like the mountaineering, hiking parlance because beyond that, it's usually mountaineering. You cannot trek. So 20,000 feet or 6,000 meters is usually around 20,000 feet. So even in India, there are only 2 or 3 treks that say non-professional or not semi-pros can hike. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of AMS issues, a lot of time as well. Stoke-Hungry is probably a 10-day hike. So in this region, there was one volcano called Chichani, where you can hike till the summit in one night. And it is considered a really, really tough, difficult.
Wow.
Like not a lot of people do it. Yeah, and it is quite expensive as well because like you need a lot of gear. It starts at like the hike itself starts at 5,100 meters. So
you have to trek up 1,000 meters.
Yes, yeah.
And all in a day.
Yeah, like not even in a day. Like you sleep, you start at 1 a.m. and you try to reach there by sunrise, which is like say around 6:30 a.m. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So you have to wear like flashlights and you're going up the mountain. It was incredible because there were just 5 of us and each one of us had issues with headache already, like the first day once we got there in the evening. I did take AMS medication and like the next morning we all started hiking up. So the peak was at like 6,100 meters, like the summit. I went until 6,000 meters and I had to give up. It was just physically, it was impossible for me to carry on. My legs wouldn't move.
AMS when it hits, it's harsh.
Yeah, it's really harsh. So I thought I'm slowing down the group, so I shouldn't be like continuing further. So I just told them to like go on, and they all went up. And it's an incredible view. Like you get to see like the entire city of Arequipa, and you see like another mountain next to it, which is also like equally tall. So it's great. It's the most accessible and easiest 6,000 meter mountain in the world. So that's why it's like a thing that you do, especially if you're into like conquering heights and all of that. So
wow.
Yeah.
So well, you did hit the 6,000 odd meters. So and
yeah.
I mean, when AMS hits, you should not think that, oh my God, if I go there, this will happen, that will happen. It's fine. It's your life. You can do the 6K later. But wow. So then, so what? The previous day you go and you stay at some base camp where you then start acclimatizing. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Night skies in such places, yeah, it must be spectacular.
Oh yeah, it is like clear skies and like no clouds, so you see like the Milky Way, like stars, etc. But it is insanely cold. I got out once to pee, and that's when I saw the sky because we slept at as soon as the sun sets, it's incredibly cold. If the sun goes away, it's cold. So Peru, winter was about to start. So that was why I was already feeling like very, I wanted to go to the warm weather.
Got it.
Yeah. So
and can you rent any warm
Yeah.
gear?
You can rent. Yes, yes,
Good,
yes. So
good.
even if you have some gear, they'll actually recommend that you use theirs because it's like much more thicker, much more suitable for that weather. So it's all part of like the tour package. Like they'll give you all the
Very
gear.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
And since you are saying that this is a volcano that you are trekking up, right? So which means you'll have
Right.
those small pebble kind of things that you're walking on.
Yeah.
So walking down must be so much tougher. You'll roll down, man.
So it's like a lot. Most of the volcanoes, right? Like the volcanic sand is like very soft. Like you can actually run down. So on the way down, we had to run down. So like it took us maybe 6 hours to go up. It probably took us 1 hour to go down. You literally run
Wow.
down and like leaving behind a puff of smoke, behind you.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
what an experience, man. This is very, very
it
crazy.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very crazy.
So
Beautiful, man.
oh yeah, like
Beautiful.
I was telling you, we were sleeping even like as soon as the sun sets, we ate dinner. I think we slept at 6 p.m. or like 5 p.m. or something like that as soon as the sun sets because it's going to get incredibly cold and we had to wake up, start hiking at 1 a.m. So you had to
Okay.
get some sleep in and all of that, right?
Got it.
So yeah, that's why
So
it was
1 a.m. is
very,
at the coldest time that it gets. So you're actually starting your hike at the coldest time
yeah,
of the day.
correct. Right.
Do they give you coca leaves? What
Yeah,
do they
yeah,
call
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Coca leaves, right? What do they call it?
Coca,
Coca
coca
leaves,
leaves,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the guy that I had gone with, so he had these coca chocolates, which you can just like keep chewing and it
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
helps with the AMS. But honestly, I don't know like if it helps or not because I still got AMS.
Yeah. You still got,
But
some people get, some people don't. So they say very often that even this
yeah.
coca, they have a coca infused oil that they give in many of these places in Latam,
Oh
where
yes,
they'll just spray
yes,
it on
yes,
your
yes.
hand. You just wipe your palms together and
Correct,
sniff it
correct.
in,
Mm.
and your nasal
Right.
passage instantly apparently opens up. So
Correct.
when I read about this, I remember that when I had done Spiti,
Hmm.
we were going on one small hike in Spiti. Okay, we are in the middle of nature. We have to do a hike, right? And all of us had a headache that morning. So we were staying in a lodge kind of a place. So they all told us that they gave us each a bottle of hot water, which had lots of garlic in it. They call it
Oh.
garlic water. And you're like, are we going to have garlic water? Yuck. I said, don't do all this shit. You just keep on sipping this garlic water. And they gave us camphor tablets and told us, take a handkerchief and keep a few tablets inside that. Keep on sniffing it and keep on sipping. You have to sip the garlic water, not like drink it. Small sips. Keep on having it, and your AMS will entirely get resolved.
Wow.
Our headache also went away. We could do the hike also well.
Nice.
So I do not know how much of it I can give credit to this versus our acclimatizing. Everything is the same. It's like part and package of your AMS.
Correct.
But but it did help us, and the headache did go away. And we were all having garlic water. So then we do not know who was stinking worse because all of us were stinking equally. So it's okay.
Oh
But I don't
wow.
know. Camphor I can
Correct.
understand because your nasal passage opens up. But yeah, it helped. And that is an Indian, for you to
Homemade
get
remedy, yeah.
homemade remedy kind.
Nice.
So it worked. And it's coca leaves over there. Very
Yes,
nice.
exactly.
What was the name of this particular volcanic hike trek that you mentioned?
It's called Chichani. Mount Chichani is the name of the
Chichani.
volcano.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Then which other hike did you do in Peru?
You said you did some 4 or 5 of them, right? Treks and hikes.
Oh yeah,
in
yes, so
Peru.
many. Yes. So yeah, I did Machu Picchu, of course, and then
Yes.
in Huaraz, which was like my first stop after Lima. So it was all lagoons again. So it was Laguna 69 was my favorite trek there, and the other one was Laguna Churup. Again, I liked the fact that it was great views in very short time with little effort.
That's
so
perfect.
yeah, it was beautiful. Like each day I would just like wake up and go for a trek. So
Wow.
yeah.
So this was the active part of your vacationing, is it, Peru?
Yeah. Like I was walking so much. I think that was the time I also stopped working out. I was at least trying to work out like once or twice a week before that. As soon as I hit Peru, that's when I stopped working out for like the next 2 months because I was hiking constantly and I was still like getting my steps in and
That's
like, I was
right.
physically active.
And inclined steps that too.
Yeah.
So what was the Peru's highlight for you?
I think Chichani because I couldn't complete it. No, but just the hikes, just the fact that the hikes were so beautiful. The food was great. And I still have only done 50% of Peru. There's still like the north of Peru that I haven't even gone. So the beauty of like northern Peru is that's where all the beaches are. So Peru's is one of the best surfing spots in the world. So the way,
Wow.
yeah, so the waves there do not break. Like they last for 30 or 40 seconds.
Did you try your hand at it?
No, I didn't even go to the region because it
Oh, okay,
was,
okay.
yeah, like I felt that okay, I'll just like come back again another time and just
That's
go
right.
explore that region.
Yeah.
I'll let me do justice to the ones that I'm at.
Perfect.
So there is like a lot more things that Peru has to offer, outside of Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is honestly just one thing.
And the touristiest, if there's a word like that.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. It was funny because I think I saw so many people from across the world. That happened only in Peru. Like I went to Cusco, I went to a walking tour, and like the guide was asking us, okay, what are all the countries that you're from and all of that. Like I saw someone from Slovenia and South Africa, and there was India. So I've never seen like this kind of diversity that can happen only in Cusco because everyone's coming from Machu Picchu.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
How many alpacas and llamas and all that did you see?
Oh yeah, so many, so many. I think I also went up. There was this other hike called Rainbow Mountain nearby Cusco. I did that on my birthday,
Wow,
and
what
yeah,
fun! Rainbow Mountain is like the picture perfect picture postcard
exactly. Yeah,
place,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
On your birthday, that's
So
so cool. How was it?
yeah.
How was
It
the
was pretty
hike?
cool. The hike was actually pretty easy. It is high altitude if not been used to the altitude because I was in Huaraz earlier. I was doing like a lot of treks. I was fairly acclimatized, so for me it was super easy. I was actually the first person in like my group to get to the top, so
Oh my
I got like a
God, I hate
bunch of
such people,
pictures.
man, who are so pros and they run up first.
So so in my defense, what was happening was that it was super crowded.
Yeah, it's again very, very touristy.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the peak season as well. Like the summer vacations in the US were starting, so more and more
Okay.
tourists are going to come. So it was already crowded, and I thought, okay, if I wait for this massive crowd to go along with it, it's going to be even worse. So let me just like
Yeah.
go faster. So I went there. I got some pictures. I got some good pictures, and then there was another trail there. And I asked my guide, okay, what is that trail? Like, does it go? And he was like, yeah, you can also go there and see the other side of the valley, other side of the
Oh,
mountain. And I wanted to do it, and he said, okay, since you have already finished this, you can probably go there. So I went by myself. Only the guide knew that I was going there, and I went there. Beautiful. It's still like red and all of that.
Oh, the Red Valley thing it is, huh?
Yes, yes,
oh,
yes, yes.
lovely.
Yeah. So it gets it colors because of the minerals that's present in like the sand. And the Rainbow Mountain has multiple colors, but this one has a lot more, say 3 or 4 colors. That's it. And vast, big ones. It's not like stripes.
Wow.
So I went there, and on the way down, I had to take a different road. I could have come back the same way that I did. It was much more easier, but it would have been longer. So what I decided to do was I saw like another route where I did see some people going. So I started going down that road, and it was not marked at all. And it's like a proper downwards incline, right? Like it's very steep and it's going down. And there wasn't like a lot of grip that my shoes were offering. So I was slipping a lot. And there's no trail also like saying, okay, this is how you go. Like, should I like slide down? Should I like walk down? There's no guide with me.
Wow.
So for like the first time, I actually felt like, okay, I might be a little screwed here because I have to go in time. There isn't a lot of time to reach my van because they're all about to leave. The guide had told me that you need to be back by like say 12 p.m. or something, and I was running out of time, and I couldn't find my way down. So I met a couple along the way. Even they were struggling to go down. I was like, screw this. I'm going to go back up and go back the long way. Like, at least I know that there's a path there, right? So I start going back up, and it was so much, incline that I was, again, resting every 5 minutes. It was like, at that point, I realized, oh shit, I can't go
Oh
up
my
also.
God, screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm now thinking, okay, am I going to die on my birthday? And because I was by myself, which was
I like it
honestly
how
was a little
thoughts
scary.
will directly go to death, man. There's nothing in between. I'll faint, nothing. Directly, I'm going to die on Then?
So, and it's the worst part was like, the indecisiveness on like, should I go up or should I go down? Right?
Correct. And who will take the decision for you? You have no idea.
So I was already tired by then, and it was like a hard few minutes. And then I saw two people coming down. So one of them was a guide. So then I asked them for help, saying, so the guide told me, no, there is a path, just come with us. And he did, like, he gave me some tips on like how to, like go down that declining
Got it.
surface, along with like
Surface,
how
yeah.
to use your trekking pole the right way, stuff like that. So that helped. And then I finally got down. I met a bunch of alpacas and llamas who were like, free range, grass fed alpacas. Who were
Oh
just
my
right there.
God.
So it was like a meadow. So it was nice. I could just like walk by them. I said hi to them.
Are they cute?
They are very cute.
Oh,
But
God.
they're also scared of you, so they don't like come to you that often. So
Okay.
yeah. So I then ran, and then like I was the last one to get into like my bus there. Yeah. So I was definitely late.
Gali padi?
No. So
You're
they
on
were
time.
nice. I don't even know how long it took, to be honest. As soon as I got in, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, guys, I'm late. But yeah.
Wow, very nice. I actually saw the picture of you with those very, very colorful looking. Either they're llamas or alpacas. I don't know. Seeing pictures, I don't know which
Even I
ones they
can't
are.
tell.
And with
Yeah.
the gorgeous, rainbow mountain in the backdrop. It's a fantastic picture, and that's your birthday picture. Wow. This year's
Yeah.
birthday was very grand. How are you going to up it next year, man?
Oh man, I'm actually always worried about that. So usually I do like a hike. I am usually on a Himalayan hike on my birthday. I'm cut off from the world. No one can contact.
No one could send you WhatsApp happy birthday messages.
Yeah, they'll do, but like I can't get them, right. There's no network. So, but this time was even better because I had a 36-hour birthday. In India, it was already like say the 23rd of May, and I started getting wished, and then even there like another additional 12 hours. So I had like a nice little 36-hour birthday. It was really sweet. Yeah.
Nice. Tell me something. I heard that you can get your passport stamped in Rainbow Mountain and even in this Machu Picchu. Got yours done?
No, I didn't because I researched about it. And there were instances where some people, so technically you're not supposed to get a stamp, which is not like an official border authority.
Correct.
So I've heard some instances where people were declined boarding into a flight because they saw like an unauthorized stamp on their passport. So I didn't want to risk it. And that too, it was a passport that I just gotten renewed. I didn't really want to risk it. And okay, so the other interesting thing rather is most of the countries in Latin America don't stamp passports anymore. So if you are like a person who's collecting stamps, you can't really do anything. So
it's so sad. I love seeing my passport full of stamps, man. It's just a vanity thing. It's so fun.
Right. Yeah. So I think Mexico did, USA doesn't. Colombia was the only one which did. Peru didn't. Brazil did. Argentina did not. So
at least US gives you a stamped visa, man. So at least you have a US, you have a page which is dedicated to US on your visa. Many countries these days are giving online ones, which is not even nothing is there on my passport. Khali passport ho jata hai.
True,
I like it, okay. I like getting an e-visa or an online thing. It makes process so much easier. But I also like stamps.
So I got a bigger passport this time, more pages, because my previous passport had very few pages left. And thankfully, like it was also expiring. So I was fine with it. So I thought, okay, I will need more pages. So clearly there I travel more. So I got it. It's like, it's not getting over.
Very sad. Very sad. So the Scotland trip that we went on, there's a route in Scotland called the NC 500, which is a North Coast 500 route. It's a driving route. It starts from Inverness and you go all the way along the northern coast. And you come to Isle of Skye, somewhere close to Isle of Skye where the northern coast ends. Touristy thing, North Coast 500 is an NC 500 passport. You can buy this passport. It's a 100% touristy thing only. You buy this passport at each place that you go, you'll have one of those tourist offices spots where you can keep getting it stamped.
So this touristy passport that they have over there, as expected, was fairly costly. So we got a very pretty postcard instead, and we went all around NC 500 getting those stamps at different places. And in some places, we even went into a post office to get a real stamp.
They're like, do you want international stamp or domestic stamp? No, no, no. We don't want to pay for it. We just want you to like hit it on the postcard. So now we have a very good looking postcard with lots of stamps on it on different places. It's a very cute thing. So it's a very touristy thing, but one of those cute souvenirs that we got, through our entire Scotland trip.
Cool.
Apparently, Japan does this as well. So Japan also, you go to different places, you can get this stamped, right?
Yeah. So I got it in like my notebook at that time. I didn't want to like risk my passport.
Yes, good idea.
So I just kept doing it in my notebook.
Yeah. Okay, fascinating. So Peru was phenomenal, man. Very, very active vacation. You had your birthday, a grand birthday where you almost thought that you were going to quick, but then but then you came back safe, sound, and had a long birthday, 36-hour long birthday. How did you party on your birthday?
I didn't actually. I had like a bunch of friends in Cusco. We called ourselves the dinner club because we'd all like be on our own ways during the day, and someone would say, "Is anyone up for dinner?" And you'd just like go with them, right? So I had like my dinner club. We did go get a beer, and so this was when it was getting colder. So even I was not up for like staying out night. And Cusco is like super high, so it's much more colder. So Cusco is higher than Machu Picchu, by the way. So Machu Picchu is much lower. Yeah, so Machu Picchu doesn't get that cold. Cusco gets really cold.
Interesting point.
And because you're doing hikes every day,
you
end up having to wake up at 3 a.m., 5 a.m. So after a point, like in your hostel, you will know which person is going to what rec depending on when they're waking up. Because it's people are just doing the same set of things. So
true.
It was a very non-partying birthday. Peru in general was like that, honestly. Like I didn't really party much. Like Colombia, I was partying a lot, and so was Guatemala, so was Mexico. But Peru was just about nature and heads down, keep hiking. So
lovely. So this is what I was telling you in the beginning about. I enjoyed reading your tweets because I saw such different vacationing style. The same person doing such distinct different vacationing style across. Now, I just loved, reading that. Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. So this was Peru.
So where did you exit and jump into next?
So I exited Peru and I went to Brazil. So Brazil was never in my plan because Brazil needs a separate visa. And even with like a US B1 visa, you can't really like enter Brazil. So my other options were Chile and Argentina. Both of them were going to be colder than Peru, and I was already done with winter weathers. So Brazil was the only one which was again warm, and or like the other option was go back north, say go to Panama, Belize, Nicaragua, something like that, where it's warmer, and then go to the US and then return. And that's when I was looking at like different options, and I saw that Brazil had cheap tickets to the Middle East. Cheaper tickets, relatively cheaper tickets. And Middle East, say it's super cheap to come to India, like especially one way. So I felt that it's better to do this trail. Again, vanity metric, round the world trip is one. And I've never been to Dubai. I've never been to Qatar. So I thought maybe I should, because I had a couple of cousins there who I also wanted to meet. Dubai was also something that I wanted to see because people have been telling me, oh, it's a great place to work, find employment. So I also wanted to see like the vibe of the city, etc. So I realized, okay, I have to make my way to Brazil. Let me see if I can get the visa. Right. So a friend of mine had told me on how in South America, so South American residents can travel across the continent, like they have free access. So there isn't going to be a lot of activity in the Brazil consulate in, say, Peru, because they can anyway go. So no one's going to be applying.
Got it.
So it's going to be empty, right? So that's what you can do with Bolivia as well. Bolivia has visa on arrival, or you can get like a much more cheaper stamped visa, either in Cusco or Lima. It's a 15-minute affair. You just go in, submit, like say some documents, they'll stamp it and give it to you, right? So not a lot of people know this. Yeah. So
not like our VFS.
Yeah, it's not like VFS. Oh man, yeah.
Oh, VFS stories, man. Horrid.
I know. So basically, but the bigger idea here is that as soon as you go into one country, you essentially have access to the entire continent. Because it's so easy to get a visa, right? You just go to the consulate, submit documents, and you'll get like the visa to the next country that you want to go to. So you have like the entire place in like your reach. So that's what I really liked about South America. So I did get my Brazil visa, and then I flew into Sao Paulo, which was like the least fun place in all of my entire journey. Like, oh my God, it was very boring.
Why?
It's a very proper city. Like it doesn't have any tourist infrastructure. There isn't much to do. I do a walking tour the first day anytime I go into a new
Same,
city.
same. That this
Yeah,
is the window to do. They let you know what to
exactly.
do everywhere. Yes.
Yes, it kind of
Mm.
orients to the place
Yes,
and all of
yes.
that, right?
Mm.
So Sao Paulo was one place where like the next walking tour was 3 days later. Like usually walking tours, there's so many,
They are
right?
every day and multiple every day,
Exactly,
man.
yeah. So the next one was 3 days later. So that's how, non-touristy Sao Paulo is.
Weeks, okay.
And Brazil is super unfriendly to tourists for some reason. They don't let you get a SIM card because you need a local ID to do that. There are no currency exchange centers, like very poor currency exchange rates as well, because Brazil is super big on digital payments. If you think that India
Oh.
is like super advanced in digital payments, Brazil is next level. Like,
Oh, wow.
you know
Okay.
how on beaches people are selling you bracelets and all of that, right?
Right.
Even that person will have a card reader.
Card reader.
So they have their QR codes as well. They have their card readers as well. You can do everything like digitally.
Very
But
impressed.
yeah,
But so tough
you
for
can't buy bus
tourists.
tickets. Exactly. You can't do that. You can't get those, right? So for bus tickets, you need to pay in cash. If you need like one of those bus cards, you'll need a
Right.
local ID again. So somehow they're like, screw the tourists. We'll just
Yeah.
like let the locals. Yeah, they're very
Weird. That's
weird
most
about
of
it.
Brazil or just
No, all of
Sao
Brazil.
Paulo? Is it all of it?
All of Brazil.
Wow.
All of Brazil is like this. So even for a SIM card, it was super hard. You cannot get a SIM card. So you have to get like a eSIM, etc.
Got it.
So thankfully, I bought a SIM card off like another traveler. So I got one. But
So other than this fabulous digital payment network, that you found in Sao Paulo, did anything else excite you?
zero, technically, yes.
Zero.
Technically. Oh, so the only interesting thing about Sao Paulo is that it has the highest amount of Japanese origin people outside of Japan. So there's like a big migration that's happened at some time. And so there, the Asian food is brilliant. Like Japanese food is brilliant. Like even the aesthetic inside and the vibes was I felt like I was in Japan. I was in Japan a few years ago. So it was very authentic. Even the food was very authentic. So that was like the only shining piece around Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
And it helped. Like I was missing Indian food, and like Asian food is always my comfort food. So
Nice, very
ramen
nice.
and sushi
Yeah.
are always my favorite. Yeah, so that helps.
Fantastic. No, but the Japanese thing of Brazil is very, very. It's known that it's the largest outside of Japan.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very cool.
So there are a few villages in Brazil that have only Japanese as residents. Sao Paulo has the largest number of Japanese, but yeah, even these.
There are
Oh,
multiple
wow.
of that. Yeah. So one, you had comfort food, you had your ramen, very happy.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was interesting because again, Portuguese was like it was a slightly harder language than Spanish, honestly. They have longer words. And I just continued speaking in Spanish. I thought it'll help me. It actually did. And the biggest thing on Sao Paulo and Brazil, there's like a saying on like how Brazilians don't really upgrade their phones because it always gets stolen or lost, that they have to
Ouch.
replace it. So they never
Ouch.
like resell their phone. Yeah.
Oh wow, my God.
Yeah. So Sao Paulo and Rio are like very unsafe in those aspects. But yeah, so I went to Sao Paulo, and then I went to this place called Florianopolis, or Floripa for short. This was an amazing. It was my happy place. Like I didn't even realize it had already been a week that I was there. So Brazil has a massive coastline. So Floripa, like the geography is such that there is a coastline, great beaches, and right next to it is like a thick jungle and like more trees on the hill, right? So it's beautiful. You can either go on a hike, overlook the ocean, or go sit on the beach and then look at the ocean.
My.
Yeah, so it was
very
really
distinct
nice.
Kind of
Correct. Yeah.
Vibe. Wow, nice, beautiful.
Right. So it was also the off season in Brazil because it's getting colder and all of that. And also June, July is when most of the Europeans go back to Europe because it's summer there.
It's summer
they
there.
spend time. Yeah. So not a lot of tourists. In my hostel, there was just me and like another guy.
Oh,
Right. So yeah, it was just two people. It was a beautiful hostel, like, floor to ceiling glass windows where we could see like the ocean
oh
from our
my,
beds.
my.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Like there was a balcony, small balcony where there was a hammock. I would just like sit in the hammock and read.
What a
It
chillax kind
was,
of
I
sounds
know,
so
it was,
chillax. Wow,
yeah, yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. So interesting thing about this hostel was that the hostel owner, it was his home. Like he would
Oh,
like live in one of the rooms.
so
Yeah,
he's converted his home into a hostel.
yeah, and it was a beautiful place, like all completely made of wood, two beautiful dogs, like
Oh, you have
pond with
sold
like
it to me by just that
yeah.
dog's part. You could have just skipped the whole thing else.
Oh
I
man, like
adore dogs.
yeah, these two dogs are really good. Like they were really
Wow.
nice. So Brazil also has distinct wildlife. So they have their own small, cute monkeys. They don't look like monkeys only. They look like, like a koala bear. They almost look like a koala bear.
So cute.
That they're monkeys, yeah. They'd come every morning. So it'd be a big tree inside our hostel only, and where our common area was that
Mm.
they'd come and we'd feed them bananas
Oh my
every morning.
God.
Yes, it was
Pampered ones.
exactly. But more importantly, it felt like it wasn't a city.
Mm.
There was no road access to this hostel. Also, that you had to pull your bags up. It was on a hill. You
Oh,
had to like hike up and stuff. So it truly felt like you were part of nature. And I was so envious of the hostel owner. He was probably in his 50s or 60s. He built this thing. He runs the hostel through with volunteers. So
what
who are taking
life.
care of the reception, who are taking care of making dinner. He's just selling. And like the first day itself, we started talking and we're like sitting on the balcony and we had a 2 hour conversation, right? In Spanish. And I still got all of it. Like that was the best
2 hours in Spanish is a big
yeah.
deal, Falgun. Wow, you are not a novice, man. You've done a good job.
So I was still using Google Translate and all that, but like
But
based on like
still,
the conversation and his
fab.
emotions around it, he gave me like a good intro to Brazil and what's happening with different regions. He was telling me about how Brazil, so Brazil as a country is very similar to India.
Mm-hmm.
It's made of a lot of different states. Each state is different. They have different food, different looking people. Their accents are different.
Oh,
So he gave me like a big intro to Brazil, and that was really nice. I spent like a week there. I didn't even know how it went by. That was honestly one of my happy places. Floripa is just like happy memories for me.
beautiful.
And I then went to like the Iguazu waterfalls. So this was in the border of Argentina and Brazil, like I mentioned earlier in the conversation, right? So these are huge waterfalls, huge. I was amazed at how huge they were. And there are two sides to it. It's like a single
Hmm.
waterfall. It's right on the edge of like Brazil and Argentina.
Got it. Mm.
And apparently it was just like a vast land that was just sold to someone.
Okay.
And in the contract, they basically said, oh, it's like a vast land which has some waterfalls in it. So that's how unknown it was at one point. And then people just, transformed it to be like national park.
This is a private piece of land.
No, it used to be. Now it's like
Okay.
taken over
I'm
by
like, wow,
government.
this
Yeah.
man has done a good job.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it was private at one point. So I went. So now it's in the border. So I
Mm.
could finally use my Argentina ETA because otherwise I couldn't have entered Argentina. So
Oh,
now that I have it, so there is actually a border crossing. You go in a 10-minute bus ride, and then you get off the bus, get your border crossing done, and then like hop on the bus again. So I went to the Argentina side the first day. Beautiful. I was like, wow, was totally worth taking a 16-hour bus from Floripa to come here and see this. Great stuff. And then I go to the Brazil side the next day. It was even better. It
wow.
was incredible. I had some pictures, and some of my friends were talking about how they've seen Niagara, but this one looks better than Niagara and stuff like that.
Wow. Because
So
yeah, the story is very similar, right? Border of two countries. You can see one half of it from US. You can see one half of it from Canada. One view from here, one view from there. Wow.
yeah.
Nice.
So, and there was also like a meeting point of three countries. Paraguay is the other country that kind of like
Okay.
comes in here. And like my two friends who I met in the hostel, so they were like, okay, let's go to Paraguay tonight. We literally walked into Paraguay and we went in, roamed around. There was literally no one even on entry or exit. There was like no one. You could just like go in and out.
And how was this town that you visited in Paraguay?
Was a ghost town, honestly. Like it was very, very weird vibes. I don't know. Like it was a Sunday. all the streets were empty. I guess it was a weekend thing where nothing is open. The only thing that was open was a supermarket and a casino. And we went to both of them. And
So you have seen all of Paraguay, that means. You have gone to both the places that were open.
yeah. So
Oh my.
it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. We walked around, and so I spent a few hours there. Again, no stamps, but yeah, I did go.
How
And
sad.
yeah,
But
I
you
know.
should have like one of those huge globe things on your wall, now, where you can scratch off every country that you
I
have.
do have a world map in my living room, but not the scratchy variety. But I got like this vintage map from 1989. So when like the borders were very
Borders were
different.
still here and there, kind of. Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Send a picture. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so was that all of your Brazil? Did you not go to Rio?
I did. So I did a quick stop in Buenos Aires, and then I went to Rio.
Oh, okay.
Rio was incredible.
Oh.
The thing about Rio is that I don't know if you've seen Hong Kong. Hong Kong is basically a bunch of hills along the coast, very similar to what I described Florianopolis, right? But this is a lot more like flatland. And so it's a lot of bays that you find. Each bay has a very popular beach and a bunch of hills you can hike up. There is beach, there are hikes, there is like city activities, there's partying. There's a lot that Rio offers.
Wow.
And the people also, like even people from Sao Paulo come to Rio often because that's their happy place.
That's our Goa.
Yeah, that's their Goa. Exactly, right? So my image of Brazil always was from the 90s when the Venga Boys song was there.
Now,
like,
of course, I was going to ask you, didn't you know that
Brazil? That song would always ring in my head like all the time.
Lousy song, but super hit.
Yeah, it was. So Rio is exactly that. Like Rio is just beaches where people are playing beach volleyball, or like people in like just chilling by the beach. Beautiful people, men and women. Incredibly beautiful. They have such unique hair. They accessorize really well. They really put effort into like making a unique identity out of themselves.
I love it. Beautiful.
Yeah, it was amazing. So the first night I went to the hostel, the same hostel that I was supposed to be volunteering at, and I knew the manager already because we'd been talking and all of that. So that's where I finally met another Indian who I spent a lot of time with for like the first time. On my last stop was when I finally meet an Indian. Turns out that he had been studying there, so he was a volunteer at the hostel and he has been like living there for a long time. So Rio, the most happening day of the week in Rio is a Monday.
How?
I know.
Do they have a regular weekend like Saturday, Sundays?
They do, and still Monday is the most happening.
Okay.
So Saturday and Sunday are still very happening. Monday is even more happening. And it's only in one place. It's this place called Pedro do Sol, which is kind of close to the beach. It's up in a rock and all of that. So the street to it is again a street party. The entire path, people are just dancing on the street. Like there's loud music.
Just like that,
yeah.
And locals as well.
Locals only primarily.
Oh my God. I want such a street, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like a very interesting vibe. It's just, it feels like, okay, they're not coming here out to like have a day out. It's just part of their culture, right? It's happening every week for them. So yeah, so that was the big difference that I saw. So it was great. Like I met some people, we had a lot of fun, and the street partying was great. And so with Rio is actually one of the more unsafe places again, like all the Brazilians that I had met, they gave me a lot of tips on what not to do. And I was also staying in like a very unsafe area as well. A lot of phone snatching. And the guy in my hostel was talking about how every weekend or at least every Monday, there's at least one person in the hostel losing their phone.
But why would you choose and stay there?
It was one, I was already supposed to be volunteering there, and another unrelated person, I asked him, where did you stay in Rio? And he was like, Books Hostel. It was great. So I was like, okay, I need to just go there. It's just coming to me. Like, if I keep seeing it somewhere, I thought I should just, it's calling. I had the most fun. By the end of it, I knew everyone in the hostel, and it was a very family vibe, honestly. So it was pretty incredible. Rio had a lot of hikes. You can go see the Christ the Redeemer. You can see Christ from like different places.
That's
So
like the postcard of Rio, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are also other hikes from where you can see the entire bay. You can see the Christ, you can see other hills, you can see like
Wow.
the civilization, you can see sea, and then you can see like the next city next to it.
Oh
It's
my.
incredible. Yeah. So even the Christ, you can hike up or you can take the cable car. I hiked up. That was fun. And again, Rio is like one place where like the hostel recommends that you always do things with another person. Do not do things by
Oh.
yourself.
Mm.
I didn't know it. So I did most of the hikes by myself.
Mm.
And Rio also has a lot of favelas, like the classic favelas where there's a lot of crime and illegal activities and stuff.
Favelas are a neighborhood, right?
It's a neighborhood, but most likely
Mm.
it's almost like a low income
Got it.
neighborhood, almost like
Mm.
slum types. And
Okay.
but it's not like there are also some high income favelas as well. But there are only one or two favelas that, as a tourist, that you can enter without a guide or a local person.
Oh, because it's
You're-
unsafe or they don't allow it?
No, it's unsafe. There'll
Got
be
it.
someone who'll come and mug you. So I almost accidentally went into one of the unsafe favelas thinking that
Wow.
it is a safe favela.
Oh
Because
gosh.
some of my friends from the hostel had already started on a hike and I was joining them late. And I thought, okay, this is the entrance. And I started going in. But somehow like the vibes were off. I could see people staring at me, even though I was brown. I had hiking boots on, I was in shorts. Like that is like a clear giveaway that I was a
That's
tourist.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing as soon as I got off the bus, I took off my watch and like kept it inside. And then I was walking, I still felt like, okay, I'm gonna probably get into trouble. So I decided to come back. I didn't go in, which was a
Good.
great thing because turns out it was a completely different starting point. I was not even supposed to be there.
Oh wow.
So it was a close shave.
It's
And
good. At least you have
yeah.
stayed alert. I mean, and not like la
Mm.
la la, we're just going on the hike kinds, right? Very
Yeah.
good, very good.
Yeah, like there were like a bunch of hikes, very interesting hikes, honestly. Great views. Even within the city, within 1 hour, you can just take a cab ride, you get a great view.
Oh.
Rio was fantastic, honestly. I felt like there's probably a city that I could live in. The food was honestly very, very average. Brazilian food was not great. Very similar to Colombian, piece of meat there, salad, some beans and rice and stuff like that. It's not very exciting.
Oh wow. I've heard Brazil is very high into chilies. Like they have varieties and varieties and varieties of chilies.
Oh yes, I think so too. But I didn't try. By then, my appetite for trying new things had
New
kind of like
things, yeah.
died
You
a
were
lot.
towards the end of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rio was also my last stop. That was my last 1 week. And so one of the things that you have to do when you're in Brazil or even South America in general is go to a football match.
I was going to also have put football and one big round because I wanted to ask you. Yeah.
So football was big because at that time there was also the Euros happening, there was Copa America happening, so people were like massive screenings were happening. So usually in Europe, club football doesn't happen when the Euros are happening. So because like all the players are away, right? But in Brazil, the club football still goes on, even if like Copa America, they're like, oh, if the players are leaving, like there are others, they'll continue to play. So
very good.
Yeah, there are two teams in Rio, which are arch rivals. One is Flamingo and the other one is Fluminense. So I went to a Flamingo match and it was an experience. There was constant singing, there was fireworks, there were flares in the crowd. And as soon as like they scored a goal, everyone's drenched in beer because people just start throwing beer. It was incredible.
Incredible vibes, man.
Yeah.
Wow, what a feel.
So,
and it's a local team.
Yeah, it was a local proper
Imagine
club
like
football.
they are hardcore like football fans.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes. So
was it at least equal to our IPL kinds or not even that level of
I think
competition?
IPL definitely has the same kind of atmosphere, definitely bigger.
Okay.
I've gone to like a Bangalore FC match here, not even close. Like even the quality of football, right? Even though this is club football, was miles ahead of like say, what I saw here. And the stadium was packed. You can't get tickets. Like you had to source it from other places and all of that.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Didn't you get any football jerseys?
I did 2 or 3. I gave some away as gifts and some I'm using still. So they were like, you have to wear a Flamingo shirt if you're going to like, the match. Yeah. Or at least wear something in black. It was black and red are the colors and everyone got it. Like
I like it.
Yeah. And this was also my last weekend. It was like my last 2 days of my entire trip in South America. And that night we were going to a private party and it was organized, say only the hostel people knew about it. So it was kind of a gringo party. Like I think I found like a lot of travelers there, more
Got
not a
it.
lot of locals. So that went until the morning, and it was right below the Christ. So we're sitting
Ooh,
here. It was like a small Airbnb with a pool and all that. If you just like put your hand up, you can see like the Christ there in white.
crazy
Yeah,
location.
it was incredible. Just saying, oh, we're partying under the Christ.
Yes, it is. It is just that.
Yeah.
My God, incredible location for an FB, for a BNB, man.
So it was like it was still going on, and me and my friends, we were a little tired. We were like, okay, let's go sleep. I couldn't sleep. I tried to sleep for a couple of hours. It was Sunday, my last day in Rio. The next morning, I'm leaving. So I was okay. I'm going to do something. It was a nice sunny day. So the favela that I accidentally was going to into
Oh,
like the previous time, like the trek that I had missed, I decided to go do that. And this time I went to the right spot. It was incredible. You could see like the whole ocean and the city, and you can see the Christ in the distance. Oh man, it was such a great way to end my trip on the last evening. Like
wow.
yeah, even the people that I was with, they also understood that I just sat by myself. I was trying to reflect on it, but I couldn't I couldn't do much. But I was just like, it was really peaceful to sit
Oh
very
my
high.
God, how nice. Yeah, yeah. You must be 7 a.m. You've party till and you're
Yeah,
awake and you haven't slept all night.
yeah,
And you're in such a beautiful kind of location. It'll be such a beautiful
correct.
feel. Wow.
Yeah.
And are the favelas here similar to the one that you described in Colombia?
So
Oh,
you,
yes. Very similar to how I mentioned Medellin to be like on a
mm,
hill, compact houses, and I peeked into some of them. I walked around this one. Football is big for them. So if there's like a park where there are always kids playing of different age groups. So small kids are playing with small kids, big kids are playing with big kids. Like
oh,
the yeah. So you can also see like they're wearing shoes versus these guys are not. So it's definitely low income. People are poor. People have kids there very early. Like I saw a lot of young mothers,
very young.
and they also had these small street stalls where they were selling junk food. It was very, very nice. And like
Did
music
you
is
eat
a big
anything
part.
crazy there?
Caipirinhas is the only thing that I remember in Rio. It's like this drink which is made from this alcohol called cachaça, and like
Okay.
a bunch of things mixed together. It gets you really drunk, and it's very cheap. It tastes
Oh,
amazing. It tastes like a mojito, and it's like
oh,
amazing.
nice,
Yeah, yeah,
refreshing. Oh,
yeah,
good to
yeah,
have. No,
yeah.
yeah,
So a lot of
very
lemon in it
nice.
and all that. Yeah.
Yum, yum.
So favelas, yeah, you could just walk around very cheap. So we met some locals there. There was this one girl in our group. She was from Portugal, so she could speak Portuguese. And so it turns out like there were two guys. They were guides for like another traveler who was from Chile. So the two locals, they were like, "Oh, we are actually from the other favela, Vidigal was the name, which was the unsafe one."
Okay.
And I was like, "Why am I meeting you on my last day? Like, I want to go into this unsafe favela. I
Correct,
want to
correct,
see how
correct. You
it
want to
is."
see how, why is it unsafe? What happens inside?
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Curiosity.
So yeah, on the night of the party where we were partying under Christ, the other option was for us to go to a favela to go to like a favela party. So Brazil has their own form of music called funk.
Okay.
So it's very different. It's like electronic, it's like Latin, it's very different. So they have their own form of dance. Samba is one, and funk is like another one. So these parties happen in the favelas, and it is like unsafe. You can expect people to be with guns there, for example, but it's fine. Like as long as you don't get into trouble, you don't get into trouble.
You
So
were so casually saying this now, my God. Now that when you are saying dangerous, even I am not flinching. I'm like, क्या होगा? ये phone ही तो जाएगा.
yeah, exactly.
gun ही तो होगा. क्या हो रहा है?
They don't have a reason to shoot you. Why would they shoot you?
Big deal. Anyway, I'm on a YOLO trip, so big deal. Oh my God, but you missed such a lovely chance, man. You could have gone to a favela
I
party. That would have been
know.
so cool.
Exactly.
That's okay, like how you told initially, right? I'm sure you'll go back again.
I definitely will. Yes, I will. So before my trip, I knew that I not knew, but I was sure that I will not go back. That was the reason I wanted it to be a really long trip, because I thought it's expensive. It's really expensive to fly there and all of that.
Yeah.
So let me do as much as possible. But once I went there, it just felt accessible. It's not that hard to get there, especially if you have a US visa and you are in the US, you're visiting US, you can like go there. Or even flights to the US tend to be very cheap at some points of time. So you can afford to do it. So I know that I'll go back at this point. I can confidently say that I will go back. Like if I have the time, Latin America is where I'm going back again. So yeah, it's
Wow.
I'm still not done with Latin America.
I can totally get that. from your tone, man. No, and then you said that flights out of Brazil to Dubai are fairly cheap, you said, right?
Yes, yeah,
If
yeah. It
ever you
was.
plan to go and work out of Dubai, you can
Yeah,
just
no,
pack
I
up
don't
and
think I will
come.
work out of
No,
Dubai. No, I don't think I'm gonna go live in Dubai. I don't think I like it.
not your kind of city.
Not my vibe. But Dubai was good to me because I ate a lot of Middle Eastern food and Indian food.
Oh wow, really? It's a global cuisine kind of place. Plus, of course, fairly a mini India, you can call it confidently.
Oh yes, great Indian
Yeah,
food that I ate as well. Yeah.
But then I always feel when I go on vacations, no, I don't eat Indian food outside. I'm like, if I'm traveling, I
Me
will
too.
not eat Indian food. Again, I don't do very long-term
Absolutely.
travel, so it doesn't affect me that much. But
Yeah, as much as possible, one should eat the local food, while traveling.
that's a part of your
True,
experience.
true.
Yeah,
Exactly,
it is a part of your
exactly.
experience.
True. No, I totally agree. I agree with you. Like I also have a very similar philosophy. I want to like eat as much local food as possible. Even here on my trip, I was probably eating Indian food once in 3 weeks or something. And sometimes I would reward myself saying, okay, yeah, like I've done a big workout today, or like I walked a lot today, so let me eat Indian food.
And then
But
you would
yeah,
cook or you would go out and eat.
I couldn't cook anything because again, no spices. I was
Correct.
only mostly cooking pasta and stuff. So if I could do this trip again, I would probably try to cook every day, like at least dinner. Come back to the hostel, cook every day. Like I would have saved some money and like
Yeah.
probably extended my trip as well. Like I had some recommendations from like a friend who had traveled to these countries before. So he had like done a recce of all the nice Indian plots. So he had given me some
Wow.
options and those turned out to be excellent. And in
Arey
Rio,
wah.
I went into like one which was not recommended. I just like found it on Google. It was so bad. It was so expensive. It's so bad.
I thought you could add on to his recce saying, I found one place for you, but
No,
bam,
sadly,
no.
no.
Oh man. Oh man, Phalgun, you're so rich with stories, man. You've got so many stories. I think I've just like touched the top of your, list of stories that you have. It was been so much fun. Tell me something. Now you've done extensive amount of traveling even earlier, prior to this trip as well. And, you had mentioned that there was someone that you met in an earlier trip whom again you met in one of these countries that you recently visited. So how do you keep in touch with these strangers who are now your friends?
Yeah, I think Instagram is like the one way that I stay in touch with people. So what I do is I usually like react to stories. I send them a question. So it's almost like these micro interactions, micro conversations, which makes you feel like, okay, you're still like in touch with people.
In touch.
So I've had like crazy coincidences rather, where I was in Bali for a couple of months in 22. It was a workation. And there was one guy that I had found. He was a Thai YouTuber. Incredible, like he's the top 3 of YouTubers and like travel YouTubers in Thailand. So he had been traveling across. We had stayed in touch and say Instagram and all of that. He was in Egypt, and I was texting him. This was 2023. I was texting him saying that okay, I might be visiting Egypt because I'm going to Morocco, and then I might go to Egypt. And I was asking him about it. And then I go to Morocco. It was my first evening. I just went for a walk. There's like a big mosque there. I was just sitting and like watching the mosque, and I see this guy just walking past, right? And I call out to him, and then we're like, "What?
It's so fun!"
Yeah. And so he's a YouTuber. It's like his first episode on Marrakesh has me half the time. It's, hey, I met this guy. It's like the story of that vlog.
How lovely that is, right? It's such
Yeah.
a lovely coincidence. I truly enjoy such things.
Yes.
What about planned travel? Have you done any kind of planned travel with?
Yes. So when I was in Bali, like I had a lot of friends that had met them. So I went back the next year, 2023 again, like where me and 2 other friends of mine, we went back. We decided to go back to Bali and we did another part of Indonesia. So that was really nice. So I think with one of them, I might be traveling again this year. She's still in Bali. So she might be, we're thinking of either Sri Lanka or something. So yeah. I do like a lot of travel with friends as well. It's not that I only travel solo. I travel with my family. I travel with my friends. I do a lot of weekend trips here with my local friends. I have like multiple groups of friends, and I am always up for traveling with any of
It's
them.
like, when we were younger, we used to have this uncle who used to tell that you have something called a chakra at the bottom of your feet. And people who have a chakra at the bottom of the feet, they have a tendency to to travel and travel and travel and travel. You must be having one on
Yeah.
both your feet, maybe your palms as well.
Oh
It was
man.
something like that, and that's where that takes you around so
Yes.
much, and that's why you really
Yes.
enjoy it. And not just
Mhm.
enjoy, you work towards your travel, man. I really like it. Your discipline in saving so that you can, make this travel happen. The way you plan your career such that you can make the travel happen. Your overall plan, like every 4 years, I should try and take, a break wherein I can make travel happen. It clears up my mind, all of it. So
Yeah.
that's it's very planned in your head, which is fab. So I haven't done a long term travel ever, I
Mhm.
think. So I really want to do
Mhm.
something like this. And hearing your 6 month thing, now mujhe bhi karne ka man hai.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking
yeah. No,
which
you.
country will I start off with? But I want
Yes,
I want
yes,
to try
yes.
that.
You should.
It's like
You
I
definitely should.
love in one of your blogs, you had written that, whatever you like traveling for, just do it. Because everyone would say that no one should be a traveler and not a tourist. Oh, why do you go there and take pictures? Oh, why do you do this? Whatever floats
Yeah,
your boat, man. Wherever you want to go,
exactly.
go, but go.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's your own money. You're doing it for yourself. There is no reason to, like have others impose their opinion on you. Like, I firmly believe that travel is super personal.
Yeah.
It's like one of the reasons why I hesitate to talk about like the way I travel, because I feel like this might not really apply to you, because we have very different set of use cases, like, personalities,
Yeah.
personas. We
Yeah.
might be looking for different things. But yeah, like, and that's also one of the reasons I actually do not follow any travel content creators or any travel influencers. The only people that I follow on Instagram are people that I personally know, that I met. Um, Even the couple of content creators that are on my feed are people that I personally have met. So unless I know a person, I wouldn't know the content that they're posting and like what they
Mm-hmm.
actually mean by it and all of that. So that's why I'm not swayed by what other people are
Yeah.
doing. I just try to make my own experience out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually worked out for me. So,
Yeah. Honestly speaking, I remember telling this again to someone in an earlier episode that's one reason why, in our conversation on this podcast, we rarely do anything which is an itinerary based thing. Because
yeah.
everyone has a different itinerary. Now, if I tell you that, do Brazil in 5 days, 10 things to do in Peru in 10 days, you will just brush me aside. You're like, come on.
Yeah.
I will just stay in one city in 10 days, forget about an entire country. And
Hmm.
on the other hand, I do have friends who will tell me Peru in 5 days and not 10 days because they love tick marking. Like they
Correct.
would
Yes.
love that part of your conversation where you said, I walked into Paraguay and I saw another country altogether. They'd be like, wow, I have one more tick mark. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So there are so many different styles. So
Hmm.
still we try not to do
Yeah.
it in a itinerary way, but we try to
Hmm.
just talk about travel stories, which one would
Hmm.
just love to listen to. We try
Yes.
doing it that way. And your stories were just absolutely fascinating. Yeah. Bahut maza aaya.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. No, like
Yes.
one last thing on since we're talking about this, right? It actually
Yep.
reminded me of a couple that I met in Peru and Cusco, actually, whose style of traveling was they spent only 4 days in each country that they go. 4 days, right?
Okay.
Um, and they were pretty, comfortable with it. Everyone else was shocked because they told me how they went to India also, and I said, "Oh, where all did you go?" They're like, "New Delhi, 4 days," and like Agra, in that 4 days, and
And they
like,
have seen the country according to them.
yeah, yeah, and
Fabulous.
so, but what I liked about it was they knew what they wanted, and that is what they're doing. I know
Yeah.
it makes sense, right? Like,
Yes.
I might not agree with your style of traveling, but if they're comfortable, they want to do this quick pace travel. Yeah, like
Yeah.
whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
So, because even for me, based on who you ask, I either traveled slow or I was traveling really fast. I told you, right? Like there's one guy
Yes.
that I met in Morocco last year that I met again in Peru. So he was on a year-long trip. He had messaged me last year around September or something, and he told me I'm going on like 1 year-long trip. Um, I'll start in like say North America, go to South America, and then the rest of the world. He wanted to do 1 year around the world. So as I last checked, he's still in Brazil. He has not even completed all of South America. So we randomly our paths coincided in Peru because I started in Feb. He started in September, and he had only reached until Peru from like say Canada till Peru. And I started in California and I already got it. So the first thing he asked me when I joined, I was like, dude, why are you traveling so fast?
Yeah.
So you're very true. On who you ask.
In my opinion, it's a slow side of traveling, whereas in his opinion, it might be a much faster pace of traveling. Good point, man. Very good point. Lot of fun. Please make one more round of effort and record a lot of your photographs and send like a huge bunch to me. We also write a blog, Misadventures of a Sneaker. We also have a blog where we put out few of your stories and lots of your pictures so that, our listeners can also, they listen to your vivid stories, but they can also see the, pictures or the videos that you're sharing. We put a few on Instagram and things that as well for them to see what you're talking about. So share a bunch of them.
Perfect. Yes, I'll definitely do that.
I had a beautiful time, man. Phalgun, you're a fantastic guy. I had a fun time talking to you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this as well. It was good to reflect on my trip. Like I was waiting for this. I also had a lot of fun. You're a really good host, and I really enjoyed this conversation. So thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Superb stories, right? Well, I told you. And also, Phalgun has shared gorgeous pictures of the South American sabbatical that he was on. So head on over to our Instagram page as well as the upcoming newsletter, and you will see lots and lots of them. We have now started a new service of curating travel itineraries to destinations made just for you. So if you want to plan your trip to anywhere, leave us a note on Instagram or DM us on our Substack page and we will plan something special for you. Just look for Misadventures of a Sneaker on Substack or Instagram. All the links are in our show notes. Also, if you enjoyed listening to this episode, would you like to support our team by buying us a coffee? If yes, head on over to our show notes and click on support to contribute any amount you'd like. It will be a huge morale booster for us. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.